So wait, Bela Fleck last night?
Mm-hmm. At Kaufman.
So when you said typically have rehearsal, that's band practice, and what is the current outfit?
So Casey Green.
Oh yeah.
Is Mike. It's the busiest band, and busy. It's not even that busy, but we do once a month down at the Ship. Third Fridays typically.
Nice. The Ship is not East.
West Bottoms.
West Bottoms.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've expanded. They used to have just the regular place, which we played for years, and then they've expanded, and they've put in this great big bar and a great big stage and great lights, and they got a disco ball, and so they can have bigger acts in there.
Cool.
They're really cool.
But do they do have bigger
Yeah.
acts? Okay. Are they visible online? Or
Yeah, they
okay.
are. They have DJs. They have their salsa. They have country. They have a lot of different types of good music. Regional acts. They pull in more regional. It's a good place to go see, one of those bands that only does those type of bars. You'd have to really search to see. But it's a great sound system. So, yeah.
I don't really feel like I see them in social media feeds, like advertising gigs.
Probably not.
That's what I meant.
I think they might want to keep it that way. They still keep it a little underground.
What?
It's a little undergroundish.
Because it's cool?
I guess so. I mean, that's the thing I was telling you about earlier. There's just no place right now that's just got that cool vibe where you still walk in and it's like, oh man, this place, you don't never who you can walk into or see here. You could see anybody here, but it's still kind of got that, it's in the West Bottoms. It's out of the way. You're only going there to go there. There's nothing else around there.
Right.
So the people who are there typically are very responsive to live music.
Yeah.
And supporting
Slide that
musicians.
bad boy under that, would you, for me, please?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
So what took the place of the hurricane?
I think it's going to be apartments.
Wait, but wasn't it
It was Riot Room.
Okay. So I'm thinking Record Bar. Riot Room and Record Bar.
Yeah.
Didn't Record Bar do gigs?
No, yeah, they're still doing
Okay.
gigs. That's a great place to see a show.
Okay. But did they move?
They moved.
To...
Now they're on like 17th and McGee-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. Okay. Interesting.
It was really bad to lose the Riot Room / Hurricane. That was my other outfit, the Tiki Brawlers, which was a ska band. We lost our bass player. He moved to Minneapolis this spring, so we just got a new guy in last Thursday.
How'd you find a new?
Our lead singer Ian Griggs found him.
Okay,
and turned out to be a really good player.
Nice,
and a really cool guy.
Yeah,
that never happens.
So before we get too far, Badass Records, episode 21, Brad Buckner, and
hello.
If I remember, I mean we're perfect strange, like we're total strangers, right?
I don't think I remember you.
Yeah. So,
but there's been a lot. There's been a lot of happening between 1992 and now.
Yeah. So that's the first here. I've known everybody else in some form. So,
okay.
Are you born and raised KC?
I was, and went to East, and then. Pretty much then I was playing gigs. I was playing gigs at 17.
Okay.
And so that's why
who
I say.
With and where?
So I got my first professional gig, I guess, real gig in Westport. I was down at the old Kansas City Drumworks shop, which was about on 43rd and State Line, right up the street from KU Med.
Yeah.
And that was run by a guy named Gary Boyle. And they made their own custom drums. They were called Boilermaker drums first, and then they switched to Kansas City Drumworks. But early on, they were handcrafted drums, and it was a little bitty shop. And as soon as I had my I didn't start playing drums until I was about 15. I had 8 years of piano before that. And then
no slouch. I mean that's a haul. And did your folks make you do it initially?
Mom played classical piano, so I had two younger sisters. We all played piano.
Wait, who are your sisters?
So I have Margaret.
Oh my God, I wondered. Okay,
and then Annabelle.
R.I.P. Right?
Yeah.
How long?
How long has she been gone?
Yeah.
She's been gone probably. I don't keep records of that, but I'm thinking around 6 years or something like that.
Okay.
7 years, something
Damn.
like that. Yeah.
Man.
So yeah, Mom made us all play piano. But see, my uncle played in a cover band in Columbia, Missouri in the 80s.
Really?
In Mexico, Missouri.
I'm familiar. I know Mexico.
So when we'd go down to see my grandparents, we'd go to the farm, and it was just the best time as a kid. And in his room, my uncle's room, he'd have this Rogers drum kit set up, like a 9-piece Rogers set with all these cymbals.
Sweet.
And all this drums. And I just remember going in there as a kid and looking at this drum set. It was more like a mechanism at that point. You know, you had the hi-hat pedals, you had the bass drum, everything, you know, like, you could hit everything and there was no wrong notes. You know? And this thing was just this metal and drums and just everything. And I think that intrigued me coming from the piano, because it just looked like this giant thing has so much potential.
Sure.
You know, what's going to come out of it? And
Right.
it's loud. There's nothing quiet about this setup here. This is a loud instrument.
Right.
And I was really attracted to that kind of just power, I guess, as, you know, coming from 8-year-old kid. You
Yeah.
know?
So when Mom made you guys, were you resistant at first, or?
No.
Okay.
No. We're a very musical family. My mom was the only one who played music, but music was always being played. Both parents were very, you know, my mom was a big Elvis fan.
Cool.
My dad was a big Motown fan.
Wow.
And so there was constant music. I mean, you know, being trucked around the station wagon was the oldie goldie station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we had a record player, and they had they were having, you know, they'd just play music all the time. So
So then no resistance initially, but as across 8 years, are you guys still like, yeah, we're into it?
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so when I got around 14 or 15, my uncle, he gave me a snare drum. He goes, "Here, try this." Because at that point, I was playing some classical music, and I just wasn't into it. You know, you're 14, you're 15, you're starting to listen to different music, you're getting into different things, and, you know, I came back around to appreciate classical music. It took a long time, but at that time, it was just not the music that I wanted to play and put my time into it. And when I got the snare drum, it was, the door opened a little bit.
That's just a standalone single piece, right?
Yeah, and he said, "Give me a pair of sticks." He goes, "Give me a page with some rudiments on it, you know, right, left, right, that type of stuff." So I did that, and it wasn't before long, for my 15th birthday, my parents bought me my first drum set. And
were you guys Prairie kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So this was in Indian Hill, so we were in middle school.
Yeah. Okay.
So my friends Drew Brady and Jake Eisfeld, they came over and was like, "Oh, Buckner, man, this is awesome," because they had played keyboard and Jake had played guitar. So like, oh, we can finally start a band.
He's still gigging, right?
Drew, I believe, has moved to New York and is
I meant Jake.
Composing up there. I think Jake is still playing. I'm not sure in what capacity, but
was he in the outfit with Bo Flash on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Also R.I.P.
Yes.
Great
guitar player. Both of them, Jake and Bo.
So I can't remember the name. I went and saw him once.
Shedding Watts.
Yes. So is that
dissolved?
Still, okay.
I actually was kind of maybe trying out for them. I played with them maybe 2 or 3 times, and they were good. It just didn't work out for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So after I got that first drum kit, it was just that was it.
Are your folks still in the same house, or?
No, my dad has passed. My mom still lives over in Prairie Village,
but not in the house you grew up
No.
in. So what were the crossroads of the house you grew up in?
So we were at 65th and Row.
Okay, I mean 69th Terrace and Row.
Yeah. So
and
they put up with a lot of band practices.
That's my question. Like, where did they put the drum kit?
So we had it in the basement.
Was it finished?
It was real boomy in there, though. It was really loud.
And could they hear it upstairs?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think the neighbors could hear
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
But that drum set still exists. It was a 1981 Sonar in blue oyster wrap. It was a 4-piece, made in Western Germany, as the badge stated.
Wow.
Great drums, beech wood drums. But my friend Mark Weinberg still has it. I sold it to him.
That name sounds familiar.
And he still has it, thank God. And yeah. So after that, it was just drum set after drum set and band after band. But the first, going back to the old Westport days, this guy came up to me when I was at the Kansas City Drum Workshop. He goes, "Hey, man, I'm looking for a drummer. We play rockabilly." And at that time, this was 1991. I had no idea what the term rockabilly was. I was into my progressive rock Zeppelin phase at that point.
Sure.
So I said, yeah, sure, that sounds pretty good. So we practiced way over off like 123rd and State Line. And back then there was nothing out there.
No.
Where does this guy live? And so we played, and man, this stuff was pretty good. It was a mix of it was kind of like Reverend Horton Heat stuff.
Rockabilly was fun, man.
Punk stuff.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it.
You're 17.
17.
And they're giving you
23, 24.
But they're giving you a little bit of money for gigs.
Yeah.
And your parents are like, go do it.
They're like, my dad was a little meh, but my mom's like, I got your back, no worries.
Nice.
But we'd play the Hurricane, and we'd play with Sin City Disciples down at the Art Institute.
Yeah.
And I have one funny anecdote. We had a gig down in Joplin, Missouri at the Kitchen Pass, which I believe is still there.
Okay.
Someone told me that. But it was about, I don't know, 3-hour drive down there. I had a 1988 Pontiac Bonneville.
Okay.
I had a Tama Rockstar set in the back seat and trunk. Drove down, followed the lead singer down in his Volkswagen bus, which could only do about 55 miles per hour the whole way.
That might have been okay safety-wise on I-70 back then. Today, I don't know if you want to risk that.
So we get down there, and I'm all excited. We get to this place, and we set up our stuff, and we play. And I think there's another band after us. Because we went on first.
This is still the rockabilly outfit.
This is we were called. We went through probably 3 names. I only was with them for about 2 years, then I went off to college. And so we went under the name like Mood Ring and then Transylvania 2000.
Oh, wow. Funny. Okay.
And we start at this Kitchen Pass place. We play 2 songs, and I see this guy come out of my corner of my eye. He jumps on the stage. I'm like, oh, my God, what is going on? And he just kind of gets in between like our third song, and we were about to start this next song, and he's like, we're gonna have to go ahead and get this other band up here.
What?
And I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, we're getting kicked off the stage. This guy is kicking us off the stage. And our lead singer, Matt, just freaks out, just throws his guitar, crushes it, kicks his amp off the stage.
Dang.
Just goes into a rage, and so I just start tearing down my drum kit as fast as I possibly can.
What in the world? What was going on?
I guess he didn't like us.
Oh,
yeah.
What's not to like about rockabilly?
I don't know, but
it's fun, fast paced, danceable. I mean, it's got a little bit of an attitude to it.
I don't know who booked the gig or what type of music they were hoping to get from us.
I mean,
because back then there was no music sharing. I guess they might have sent them a
tape,
cassette tape.
Yeah. Wait, so how many people do you think were in the crowd?
I don't know. I don't remember that much, but it was a small place.
Yeah. But nobody's like booing or anything.
No, yeah, nobody came up to me and was like giving me a hard time about it. I just remember getting in there, getting my drums off stage, packing them in the Pontiac, and my bass player, who kind of looked like Val Kilmer.
Funny.
And he would wear a wig to certain gigs too.
What?
Not all gigs, but he would wear a wig.
Really?
Yeah, Val. So I gave Val back We rode back to Kansas City together, 3 hours. Oh my God. And so that's the only time I've gotten kicked off stage.
Interesting. But so that was, I mean, there was still some time left in the 2 years before you went off to school. So you played other gigs.
So we played around. And at that point, Westport was really rocking. I mean, in the early 90s, late 80s, it was just kind of the place to show off new music and get your demo in this, smaller record stores. I can't even remember some of the names of the little stores that were around back then. Sure. But it was still safe to hang out there.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, a lot of bands played there.
But also, what a trip to be driving down to Westport as a 17-year-old and sort of like you have all your shit with you. You're 100% responsible for, getting there, doing the thing, and then getting out of there and getting back home. I mean, that's no run down to hen house and get me a gallon of milk.
I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and that was when you can find something like that, you just put all your energy into it, and you want to make sure you're 100%. You want 100% professional because you won't get the call back.
No,
your name will get dragged around. It's like he's a good drummer. He's not a great drummer, or something like that. But it was always important to me to be on time, have pro gear, show up early, especially as a drummer. You're got the most stuff. So and I think around that time too, I was playing in another cover band out of Independence with these older folks, and we did everything from R.I.P to Rush. And we played a New Year's Eve show, I remember, and my mom had to sign the legal waiver.
Wow. Okay.
So I could play in the bar.
Nice. That's good. At least they had that protocol.
Back then, yeah.
There you go. That's cool.
So, yeah, it was early on when I got gigging, and I just got a taste of it, and I loved it. There was no complaining about late nights or how much gear you had or what songs you had to play. I just soaked it all up because I knew early on that experience would pay off when you got to be, living on your own and doing this for a living. And
that's awfully young to have such foresight. I mean, I guess maybe hat tip to your folks.
It bit me,
right?
Man. Yeah, it got me hard.
But I mean, it seems like they really sculpted you into having a nice level head on your shoulders. And
yeah, they did. And they kind of saw my dedication, it was practice. I don't think I had a date in high school too much up until my about senior year.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was just practicing.
Right.
And Friday and Saturday nights, I would have the headphones on, playing to music, and just that's all I wanted to do. Nothing really else mattered to me. Did
you know Missler?
John Missler,
yeah.
He was really good. He was a really good drummer. Yeah.
Do you have any idea? Is he still around?
I don't know. I'm sure.
Right.
I hope he's still playing again.
Right.
With somebody. Because he was solid. I looked at him, and there was a couple. There was a few guys in high school from other high schools. You would see or hear about these cats that were good, and when you finally saw them, like you went up to them, like, "Oh yeah, man, let's try to get together," because you knew how good they were, and maybe they have heard of you, but maybe not. But I knew I had the talent to be good enough with them. I just wanted to play with really good people.
Sure, but did you ever mess around with anybody in high school?
We had not really. We had our own. We had a band in my junior year with Tom Cutler, Nolan Sweeney, Jake Eisfelder, Matt McCaffrey.
Oh wow!
And and we played high school parties. I mean, we played house parties, but we'd do Santana, we'd do jam stuff.
Nice. And how
that was a fun band.
Would I'm sure. But this is for free, right?
This was sort of for free, but the house party would pay $300 or something.
Really?
Like that. Yeah.
Wow. Just like at somebody's parents' house?
Somebody's parents' house. We'd do some, big parties over in Mission Hills.
Okay.
The cops would show up. The cops would always come.
Sure.
Always.
Sure.
I mean.
You're like, we still need that $300, even though.
And, it's not like we showed up with this huge PA. We're still in high school. I mean, we're talking like PV equipment and some jerk next door decides to call the cops after like our fourth song.
Because it's 7:15 and he's worried that this is going to go till midnight. Stupid.
Yes, it's so they they came back like after like the fourth time, like, okay, shut it down. Okay, we're gonna have to take somebody to jail or something like that. The homeowner's gonna go to jail.
Right.
Nothing
like a weekend night for a Mission Hills police officer.
That's right.
Really
Busting
out there.
A band.
Yeah, just fighting crime.
Yeah.
So where'd you end up going to school?
So I went to so that was a really big that was in 92, and in 90, 91, 92 we had there was a big music revolution going on. We had, Soundgarden, we had Pearl Jam, we had Nirvana, we had Smashing Pumpkins, and my God, it was, and that time was such a cool time because all those bands from that kind of genre, I guess, were all good musicians.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I mean,
Screaming Trees.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and like all the drummers were like Matt Cameron, Soundgarden, awesome. Jimmy Chamberlain, Smashing Pumpkins, awesome. I mean, these guys were like, they were taking the torch from like Neil and John Bonham, and these guys are playing this rock and roll stuff a little bit differently than you did in the 70s or 80s. I mean, these guys were getting after it.
Yeah, man.
And I like that a lot. And so I was like, man, I don't want to go to college. I want to play music. Let's go. I mean, I had a good band, that Transylvania 2000 band. They were, I mean, you never know. But so anyway, so I went to Westminster in Fulton, Missouri.
Okay. One of my real good buddies went there. Nate Wilkie.
Oh yeah.
And Wes Otzi.
Yeah.
I
partied with both of them.
Okay.
But my whole family had gone there. My dad had gone there, granddad, his dad. So it was kind of like, you're going to Westminster.
Right. Which is just down the road from the, what's the name of the spot? Where you got two songs in?
Kitchen Pass.
It's not
Fulton and Joplin. Yeah, they're about.
Oh, Joplin.
I
was thinking Columbia. My bad.
Yeah, but there was no. I mean, Fulton was. It was bad. It was a great school, but as far as music goes, there was hardly any musicians there.
Didn't Widespread play there once?
They did. I still have my ticket.
I'm sure. Yeah.
They played on a flatbed trailer in 1993 in some cornfield.
Yeah.
For like $8.
Yeah.
And it was off their Space Wrangler tour. And like, this band's awesome.
Yeah.
Who are these guys?
I mean, like maybe that's still their best record to date.
I think so.
I mean,
it's one of mine.
So and you you talk about that 90, 91, 92 stuff, and then I'm not trying to like compare or anything, but I mean, like while that wave is still sort of, I mean, then Horde.
Yes,
and you get your Widespread and your Blues,
then
like a whole other
Spin
Doctors.
Oh
and
man,
like, just a bunch of.
So then the term jam band,
Medeski, Fish,
right? So all that stuff's happening, and so I like that stuff too because it's more improv and it's those guys are going out for like 8-9 minute jams and so yeah, that's a good point. You had so much music happening over those last 3 years, and as a musician, it's like, it just inspires you so much. You just want to do it.
Yeah. So did you stay in Westminster?
I stayed, got a little band together. But ultimately just,
like you did all the groundwork for getting the band together?
It was, pretty much because there was there was not anybody there who had my motivation,
I'm sure. Yeah. You strike me as a motivated dude.
I'm kind of here to study, not really play music.
Oh, yeah. Well, it is. I mean, like, I don't think they were taking just anybody. I mean, you had to have decent high school grades to get in there, right?
I got in because my dad said he needs to come here. I was a terrible student.
Really?
Yeah, I was not very good at all.
Okay.
I was just not focused on I just wanted to play music.
Yeah. I hear you.
And so, but anyway, I got out with a. Fortunately, I was in pretty good with kids, so I got out with an elementary education degree, and I ended up teaching for 20 years.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So my mom was a kindergarten teacher for years, and so kids were just something that they were just like a bunch of musicians, They're just kind of rolled with everything.
Yeah. Wait, where does your mom teach?
She taught 32 years of kindergarten at the Pembroke Hill School.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like what, 93 to 97 at Westminster?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Or would it have been 92 to 96?
92. I was 97. I got out in 97.
Okay.
I moved to Atlanta in 97.
Okay. And that is, did you do all 20 years teaching there?
I did. No, we did. Let's see. My first teaching, it was kindergarten. And I did 10 years of kindergarten.
Damn. Down in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. I brought in the drums for them. And
oh, nice. Are you in where in Atlanta?
it was in Alpharetta.
Okay. There's a real famous venue there that Fish plays and Widespread play still. Maybe it's newer, but I feel like it's got Alpharetta in the name. No, that's not right. Anyway.
It's probably new. They were always building stuff down there.
Right.
Yeah, so 10 years of kindergarten in Atlanta, or 11, something like that. I was down there for about 12 years and taught for about 10 or 11. But Atlanta was great. I met so many good musicians down there.
How did you land there in the first place?
Okay, so a guitar player from Westminster had moved down there, and he says, "Buckner, you need to get down here. This scene is awesome." And so I moved down there, just did it. I just packed up my drums. It's like, okay, Atlanta seems pretty cool. I like the South. You got Widespread, they were just banging out of there 5 years later. So the scene stuff's happening. A lot of good places to play, a lot of good musicians. And so that band, it didn't really do anything, but I met my first jazz trio down there. We were called the More Down Trio, and had Sean Bulow on guitar, left-handed guitar player, great guitar player, and Mike Goebel on the bass. And Mike was from New York, and he had played in a funk band, and he had relocated to Atlanta for his job. And Sean had played in a band, original band prior. And we kind of just met at a party and started talking. And one thing led to another. Mike had a house, and we all practiced at his place. And it was just this awesome trio jazz stuff.
All instrumental.
All instrumental. And I didn't really know how to play jazz. I mean, I was coming from the rock. I had no formal training. So Mike,
that's not a small leap. I mean,
no, and I'm still not a jazz drummer. I can fake it okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this whole idea of playing, in a signature, and then everybody's kind of got a chance to sort of go off, but stay within the thing, and then bring it back, and then this person, or maybe all together. I mean, it's you can't be a slouch, I don't think.
No, and so we worked on exercises to make just our ears listen better.
Love it.
I didn't have any training in that sort of music. Yeah, it was instrumental. It was a trio. So everyone kind of had to be a good listener, but everyone still had to pull their weight in it. So that was a great band. We played a lot of private gigs. We also had this funny weekly gig that we did every Sunday at Harry's Farmers Market in Alpharetta.
Okay. Now, is this drums, bass, and keys?
Drums, bass, guitar.
No keys.
No keys.
That's a different flavor of jazz. I feel like
guitar was taking most of the melody.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we'd set up in this grocery store. It'd be like a big fresh farmers market outside, and then kind of grocery store inside. But I was playing with brushes, so nobody could hear us. So
like the kind of quiet.
Yeah, so they'd come up like, I didn't know there was a band in here. We'd play right up by the registers. So
Wow, that's kind of cool.
But it was cool. It was
Did you
cool
have
gig.
shade?
It was inside.
Oh, inside. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You said farmer's market.
So we'd make a lot of tips there, and we'd get people would ask for a number, and we'd play, their backyard parties.
Cool.
A lot of private parties.
Man.
It was neat. It was a really good band, and it really taught me a lot about discipline and listening, and just how to be a better musician.
And when you pack up and arrive, are you living with one of the bandmates?
No, we have. I had an apartment there with my girlfriend.
Okay.
Not my wife, Amy. And, so we moved together.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved together.
Did you guys meet in Fulton?
Yeah.
Was she a William Woods girl?
Yeah, she was. See, I had to take all my education classes at William Woods.
Okay.
And I was the only guy.
Yeah.
And there was 25
Wasn't there
girls
a lake or something that you could row over there, sneak in or something like that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was hidden in the back seat of a car many times.
There you go.
There. So
that's fun. So she was like, "Cool, let's do it. Let's move together."
She was one of those free spirits that decided to come with me, and it's crazy to think about. But when you're that age and you're just so focused on something, nothing will stop you.
Yeah.
So Atlanta was very good to me. I still go back down there and play gigs every once in a while. I still have a lot of good friends there. It's just one of those cities where just everything it's always happening.
Cool. Yeah, man.
So is the traffic.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I lived there for 3 years, just outside in the 80s.
Okay.
And then flew down there for a wedding in 2000, and I was like, where are we? Like, what is this? This is insane. Like, and whoever we hired to pick us up from the airport was just like, I mean,
oh yeah,
sitting, they'd be sitting in traffic 1 second and then just cut into an alley and do 40. I'm just like, we're gonna die. Like, but still, good, good vibes. Generally speaking.
When I moved back up here, I'll never complain about the traffic ever again.
Right. So why did you guys?
So we had to move back up here in Kansas City because my father had already passed away, and then my sister was sick. So we just decided to be up here to be close to everybody.
Okay.
So yeah, and then that's
where's your wife's family?
They are deceased, but they were most of them from Lakeland, Florida.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did she have siblings?
Yeah, she has a sister that's still down in Florida.
Oh, okay, but both of her folks are gone.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man, so are you and Mom and Margaret still close, or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Right on.
We see each other about every Sunday.
Oh, for a family dinner kind of thing? Nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So everybody's relatively not a whole lot of regret about leaving. Where everybody's cool and happy to be here now, or?
Oh, yeah. My life would have been totally different had things if I would have still been in Atlanta. I think had I would have stayed in Atlanta, that particular trio, because Mike ended up moving to Iowa, I think, but we had another bass player, Calvin, who was just as good and a great composer. I mean, this guy could play every instrument.
Oh, wow.
And so we started playing together. And that band would have been fine. I mean, but the people that I met here when I first got up here, it was I played with Turkey Bone. I don't know if you know the name Turkey Bone, Kansas City.
I don't think
so. He's been around for a long time. He's blues, just standard blues. Real,
okay.
Good harmonica player. But so I was in that band for a while when I first moved up here.
That sounds like a gig that would fit in well at BB's Lawnside.
Oh, yeah, they do play there.
Oh, okay.
We have played there. That was my first. In fact, when I first got up to Kansas City, one of my friends says, "Hey, man, you need to go check out the BB's Blues Jam on Saturday because you'll meet some cats there that play everything, everywhere." So I did, and lo and behold, met some guy and a gal. They were boyfriend girlfriend, and they were called the Shannon and the Rhythm King Band.
Interesting.
And I was with them for a while, and we played BBs, we played Knuckleheads.
Oh, wow.
And then I quit them, and I joined the Turkey Bone Band. And it was more blues. I'm like, I like the blues, but as a drummer, it's kind of drummer hell sometimes.
Is it monotonous?
It's very monotonous. It can be, and you're listening to a lot of guitar solos all night, which can kind of rip my head off a little bit, you know.
When I was, I went to Pittsburgh State for freshman year, and then I moved to Colorado and wound up down in Durango at Fort Lewis.
Uh-huh.
And I've always, until kind of recently, been in the restaurant industry. And there was a reggae band that would play every Thursday night. I was always 4 to close or 5 to close, so a lot of long shifts there. And I always thought it was I was way into I was consuming the entire Bob Marley catalog at the time.
Yeah.
I arrived in Durango with a copy of Legend, and I was like, this is I need to be done with this and start with Burnin' and work all and so I remember like a set break situation. I came out to pee or something, and the guitar player, I think it was a guitar player, was like getting a water or a soda, and I was like, dude, you guys, I'm always here every time you guys play, like I love it. And he's like, oh, and I was like, whoa, what? And he's like, dude, sometimes fucking reggae is just dun, 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 dun. And I was like, it's still kind of cool. And he's like, it wears off. I was like, damn, jaded musician. Okay, all right. But I also totally got it at the same time.
Yeah.
So I can imagine. So you're doing that, and then it was eventually
I had
to
quit.
Okay.
I quit. I felt bad, but
now
we'll just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah. But generally speaking, if a member of a band, not necessarily you or any outfit you've been a part of, is there some kind of, for lack of a better phrase, 2-week notice kind of etiquette situation, or you just yell them out, figure it out on your own? It's been fun, or?
Well, with that situation, I think I did give them a heads up, like, hey, I'm going to be leaving. Nothing personal, but I just, at that point, I had met enough people that I was going to start my own project.
Yeah, you're
and that turned
networking.
into KC Green.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that band, I think that band has been around almost 7 years now, I want to say.
KC Green has?
Yeah.
All original members still, or?
No.
Okay.
It's turned over. The original members were John Rinke on bass, who still active in the Kansas City music scene. Brian Ruskin, of course, master guitar player here in Kansas City. Ben Eisminger on keys. He's out of Lawrence. He tours. He does a lot of country stuff.
Okay.
He also teaches my kids piano.
Nice.
When he can. And then I had Jesus Negron on percussion, who's still with me.
Ooh, I love it.
And
I want to come see you now. Now that I know there's a percussionist.
We have 2.
Oh my God, really?
I have Miko Spears on percussion number 2. So usually they're doing a conga bongo thing.
Whoa.
That's more drums is always good.
Yeah. I mean, like when Rusted Root came out, I was like, I hope there's a whole genre beyond,
Yeah.
But no, not so much.
And then we had the great Ernest Melton on saxophone, who moved down to Miami. He's playing with Quixotic Band down in Miami.
Okay.
But that was the original lineup, and this was back when the Ship was still doing. They were still relatively kind of new club. And they're only doing jazz mostly.
That's sort of a hard sell, a hard niche.
It
is
like
in a big town, small city.
Mm-hmm.
What year did the Ship open its doors? Do you know?
I believe they've been around. For about 6 years.
Okay, I figured it was somewhere around there.
It's when we started the band almost, because I'm like, well, this is the only place I can book this band, because it's all instrumental. And a lot of the tunes we first learned were from soul jazz guitar player Grant Green, who's from St. Louis. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Love Grant Green.
So when I heard his stuff on YouTube, I had never heard of him before. And one of his songs came up, or like on Pandora or something, I don't know. But I just stopped what I was doing, and I listened to that whole thing. It was like an 8-minute song. And when it was finished, like, I'm going to form a band who plays this crap.
Dude,
this is lightning.
When I landed at Fort Lewis College, shout out to the Skyhawks.
Yeah.
They were the Raiders just before I got there.
Okay.
And then that was not PC enough. So I was like, thank God I was never a Raider. But I was on newspaper staff at East.
Okay.
And then I was like, I should figure out. And somebody's like, oh, it's over here. And I went, and they were like, oh my God, here's your first assignment. Thank you. And I'm still friends with like a lot of those people.
Oh, cool.
Volunteer student radio station, FM, right above. And I was like, I got to do that too. So I ended up having a 3-hour show for 3 years.
Oh, man.
And it was there that I discovered the Blue Note label.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe a white.
He was
Grant
on
Green.
Yeah. He had a few albums on the Blue Note.
I think he had more than a few. Possibly
his
not.
early stuff.
Yeah.
And then when he switched over to funkier stuff, it was like, is this the same guy?
Right. But I mean, and then somebody gave me. They're like, you need to go buy a copy of Big John Patton, Blue John.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
dude.
So Patton, I was really like rooting for Patton to be whatever, my kid, Yeah. Ellington's fine. We love the Duke.
Yes.
But and then it's like Jimmy Smith and Herbie Hancock. And it like at some point I realized like if I tomorrow woke up independently wealthy and didn't have to worry about money for the rest of my life, I would totally like do a major, massive Blue Note research project.
Oh man.
And just like the whole, as much as I could until I'm dead. Like, because like not only like the names of and sometimes like, say a Grant Green trio record comes out and it's like mostly a very blank vanilla album cover, a little picture.
Yeah.
And then the three names of the musicians and like the Grant Green, maybe it's font 12. And everybody else is font 10. It's relatively like equal credit, you know, and rightfully so, because all of those musicians were just
smoking. Yeah, smoking.
So anyway, you heard some Grant Green, and you're like, you stopped what you were doing.
That was it. I mean, and I was kind of on a. I mean, I listen to everything. I love a lot of electronic music.
Really,
early stuff. Chemical Brothers, Fluke.
Did you ever listen to The Egg?
The Egg.
Yeah.
No.
Dude. Or Banco de Gaia. Do you know them?
No.
Banco de Gaia.
I don't.
I only know one record by The Egg, and it's fantastic. At least it was fantastic in the late 90s when I...
See, that's... To me, again, it just seemed like that time...
Genres are just birthing.
The 90s. And I say 90s. I want to say from 89 to 93, 94-ish. I mean, all that, you had rock, but the electronic movement was breaking out as well.
Do you have a preferred streaming source right now?
No, I don't. I'm so stingy. I'll just remember a favorite album and just put that on YouTube and just put it around in my car and just drive around,
Okay.
It just depends on the mood.
Do you pay for the YouTube music?
Premium?
The music one?
Yes, I don't have any commercials in it.
Oh.
So,
and you don't have to have video open.
Right.
So you could like respond to a text and it won't cut the song off.
Right.
Nice. Okay.
So everything. I listen to everything. It's just... And Mike, I want to, I'm forcing that on my kids too, to have an open ear, because if you listen to everything, you train your ear to hear that certain genre when it comes through. It's like typically when you hear something for the first time, you don't like it, and you got to listen to it a couple of times. Like, oh yeah, now I like it. I understand what's going on now. so with my kids, I mean, they all play an instrument.
Remind me how many and what ages?
So Annabelle and Dorothy are twins.
You have an Annabelle.
11. Yes.
Wow. And okay, so namesake.
So
before she passed.
Before she passed.
Wow. Yeah. Holy smokes, dude.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then Dorothy is named after my grandmother, who was just totally cool. Mother of the uncle who taught me how to play drums.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then did you, are there twins on
there? Yes. My aunt had twins.
Okay. So you guys kind of knew it was a possibility?
And then, it was a possibility, but man. Yeah. So we have music going on at dinner. We have music going on, during the evening, and I just want to open up, it's so great now because we have the whole world, right? Library of music at our fingertips.
It's crazy.
Not only audio, but we can also show them what these musicians look like when they play this music.
Yeah.
And
so Annabelle and Dorothy are twins, and they're 11.
They're 11.
And what do they play?
They play the piano.
Okay.
And Annabelle plays the violin.
Nice. And then there's a third.
And then Eddie.
Eddie, yes.
X Factor Eddie. He's my bass player.
Okay. Yeah. He said he was a good bass player.
That's good wild. Bass player. And just, we had a driveway concert with the band last Saturday in our cul-de-sac and just invited the neighbors. And Eddie got up and played with the band. He did like a Latin number and like a 12-bar blues number. And so he was playing, he's grooving to it, and his back was toward the audience because he was kind of looking at me. He's like, face your audience. Put a little show in the show business, And
so did your bandmates get together and do this just out of the goodness of their heart, or was there money involved? Or
yeah, there's some money involved with the cul-de-sac. We put a little tip jar out there.
Oh, right on. Nice.
So yeah, it was just, and it's good to get the kids involved playing with a live band. Because a bass guitar, it's kind of like the drums. Like, you need to have it with other people to show where your place is, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to know where it is until you hook up with like all these other players playing that same chord or head or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, now I got
it. So what are there? Did you list 6 members of KC Green?
So KC Green can have up to 9 members at any time. We're kind of like Voltron. It just kind of depends how strong we are.
Nice.
But the current lineup now is Eric Nettle on guitar, who's just incredible. He can fix anything too. So he's on guitar, and I have Chris Ruzick on bass, who also plays bass with New Common Ground Reggae Band.
Okay.
They're really good. Then I have Tim Williams on the keyboard, and his brother Tevin Williams was a really good singer here in Kansas City. He moved up to New York and is doing that same thing in Brooklyn right now. So I've known Tim for a while. And then we have Ariana Namadi on saxophone, and she's all over Kansas City. She plays with everybody.
I mean, that name sounds a little bit familiar.
Man, she's smoking. Mostly baritone.
Okay.
But she can do it all.
That's a deeper than usual sax, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. About as tall as she is, too.
Oh, wow.
And then rounding out the horn section, I usually have Kadesh Flo on trombone. And Kadesh he's a local rapper here in Kansas City.
Cool. That also plays the trombone?
Yes.
Wow.
He's on fire. He does a lot of stuff. He plays with the Fantastics. So sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. He's pretty busy. And then Caleb Aldridge on tenor sax.
Damn.
So
I totally got to come see you guys. So do most of these people also have families, or is anybody straight up single with no?
Let's see. I think Ariana doesn't have any children. I don't think Caleb does either.
But you guys have managed to identify Tuesday as a time that works for everybody?
Or sometimes it really, that's another thing. It's that's very fluid.
Okay.
It depends week to week because
sure.
But generally Eric and Tim and Chris, drums, guitar, bass, keyboard, we try to get together once a week.
Nice.
In a band like that, because we're picking. Sometimes we'll pick cover songs that just require some attention. Some John Scofield stuff or some Jeff Beck stuff, and you just can't play that once a month. I mean, you have to play that once a week at least to keep the rust off.
Yeah,
if you're covering that stuff.
How long has Scofield been on your radar?
Oh, he's been on there. It's just that Eric, our guitar player, is a big fan.
Okay.
So he brings some of these cover tunes to the band.
Okay.
And he'll say, "What do you think about this, guys?" And like, oh yeah, it still has to be groovy enough and not fusion-y.
Yeah.
It can be a little fusion-y because we like that, and I love that stuff. But we don't want to play the whole song in an odd time, or
right.
We need, it just, everything we play has that groove underneath it, kind of.
Yeah. I'd never heard of him until a go-go.
Oh, and we play that.
I mean,
we cover that one. I love that song.
I just, boom, boom. And I was like, where has this guy been?
Oh, man.
And at the time, well, I've got a music encyclopedia back there, and like I flipped it open. I was like, dude, this guy's put out a bunch of records. Man. He's been around.
Yeah.
And then I never did due diligence. They made a second record, Medeski and Scofield.
Oh yeah.
But I never like, I've still to this day like just never sat down and. But anyway, I mean,
yeah,
dude shreds in the kind of the grooviest, laid back kind of way.
So yeah, so all that stuff, the jazz fusion-y stuff. When we started Casey Green, that was kind of like another chapter in my drumming. It's like, okay, so now we're gonna go this route, kind of. I'm gonna start listening to this stuff and get into Scofield and some deeper Jeff Beck cuts because they're all from the 70s. I mean, all that stuff is still crazy. What Beck was doing back then.
Hugely underrated.
Very much so.
I mean,
very much so.
It's kind of bananas, honestly. If you ever just throw on a Jeff Beck, what?
I think the people who know.
Yeah.
And he's still. I don't know what underrated, but just not talked about as much, I think, as a guitar player or influential guitar player as many people think.
Fair.
But I think guitar players might put him up there, but
I never knew he existed until he did People Get Ready with Rod Stewart.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, what the holy smokes? This guy shreds.
So yeah, there was a lot of Friday nights listening to Wired, Jeff Beck's Wired on cassette with headphones on my drums, trying to just digest it. There's so much stuff going on, and that just kept you going as a musician. You just wanted to keep better, and that's another thing that just keeps me going. You're always, you're only as good as your last gig,
right?
And as a drummer and a musician, I just want to keep getting better and better and just learning more. I'm constantly still watching YouTube videos of Vinnie Colaiuta with some band in 1990 and just watching him and the strokes and the way he plays.
That's an old Zappa drummer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you say that name and I immediately hear the shout out from Catholic girls. Vinnie Colaiuta.
Yeah. I got to see him with Herbie Hancock a couple years ago at Kaufman when they came to Kaufman. Yeah.
How was that?
I think I have a few teeth still in the lobby there. It just blew my head off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go solo or?
No, I took my wife.
Nice.
Yeah, Amy and I went.
Nice.
But he's all those guys that influenced me and you and all. I mean, they're getting up there now.
Well, I was just about to say, how does Herbie look old? Does he still got it? Or
he looked good, but I mean, my God, just to go on the road. I mean, that takes a lot. It takes a lot out of you, and as much as I'd like to see those guys live, I mean, just stay at home, just keep putting out music.
Right? Yeah.
Don't kill yourself. I just want to keep hearing new stuff, But
so that's kind of good. So it sounds like KC Green is somewhat malleable, and whatever you're interested in, you can kind of shift in that direction and digest some new stuff, and then work it out, and then go gig it.
All the musicians are very open and receptive to anything new brought to the band, and I think that's where you have success as a big group. It's hard to kind of get a view of everyone's opinion sometimes, but if you keep the music in the same genre, everyone's cool with it.
So where's the best place to find KC Green stuff online? Is there a website or Instagram?
We have we're on Facebook.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this is kind of a weird thing, but there's an illustrator called KC Green that lives in Atlanta.
What are the odds?
I know.
Okay.
So I friended him on Facebook, like, hey, I've got a band in Kansas City called KC Green. He goes, oh, man, that is so cool. So we normally do KC Green the band as opposed to just KC Green, because if you search for KC Green, sometimes you'll get this really cool illustrator that lives in Atlanta.
Right.
But we have Instagram, Facebook, we have YouTube. But you can, we've got our demo up on YouTube, so you can, I think there's like 4 songs.
You guys have any merch?
I have shirts printed up as a first run just to see what they kind of look like, and they're not for sale yet, but I'll do another run of them. But our logo is kind of a snail.
Okay. Stickers, anything?
Nothing.
Okay.
No.
When the shirts are for sale, will you let me know so I can buy one?
I will.
I mean, I had Jason Gherkin. I don't know if you know Gherkin.
Oh, man. It's been a while.
It had been a while for me, too. We did better part of 8 years together in Westport.
Oh, man.
He was bartending and I was chefing. And I was like, dude, if there's any Shiner merch, I'm going to get... And that was the only shirt I liked, and it was only available in small. And I was like, I'll just hang out. I'll make it visible for the podcast. I don't need to wear it. So
I've got a box at home. I'll bring you one next time.
Well, and I'm more than happy to buy one once they're for sale. So either way is fine.
We're not great on doing. I need somebody to do that for me.
Right.
I'm not good at getting all that stuff out there, and you have to do it. I know you have to do it, but I just think the music kind of speaks for itself.
Sure. But it's also.
But it helps. It's
really nice to. Worst case scenario, conversation starter.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, it's my buddy's band. Check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, same deal. Like I have a YouTube for this and a website, and I made sure that the web gal. I was like, I need a merch. It's just coming soon.
Yeah.
Like I need to get 25 or I don't know what number into this before pony up some cash, and then I don't know. I think. Probably somebody else can source it and handle it.
Oh, yeah.
Or, maybe I bring inventory into my basement, and every time I got to go to the post office, and I don't know. We'll see. But, so, you said you're in another band as well.
Yeah. So the Tiki Brawlers was formed. Tiki Brawlers. Man, that's going back probably 4 years.
Okay.
And we'd gone through several members, but Ian Griggs, the singer, has been active in the Kansas City music community for a while. And he called me one day. He goes, "Hey, Buckner, you want to start a reggae band?" I said, "Oh, sure." I still had KC Green, but I wasn't doing anything besides that. So I said, "Okay, that sounds fun. I've never been in a reggae band before." So that kind of turned into a ska/punk band.
Cool.
And we had some of the same horn players join us from Casey Green in the Tiki Brawlers, Ariana on sax and Kadesh Flo on trombone. And so we had put out 2 albums.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They're on, I believe they're both on YouTube.
Okay.
One's called, I can't remember.
I'll put it in the bio in the description of the episode. But where were they recorded? How were they produced?
We recorded both records at Marcosa Studios over in Roland Park.
Okay.
And my friend Mark Thies, great producer. Everybody knows him in Kansas City. I think he's got the best drum room in Kansas. It's just beautiful drum room. You're isolated. It's about as big as the room here, but it's all stone, like hand-placed stone. And you're just in that room, and the drums just sound incredible.
Nice. Okay.
So we recorded that, and we played. I mean, we were playing, and then COVID hit, and then our momentum just stopped, just like everyone else's did a couple years ago. And it was good to get back into the original kind of punk scene again, like I was doing when I was 17.
Okay.
And I
kind of
felt
listening
this
to then at 17.
Well, back then I was still in my progressive rock phase, Led Zeppelin phase, Jimi Hendrix phase, but yet I was in a punk band, not listening to really punk music on my time
Wild.
off. It was weird.
Okay. So then fast forward and
forward now. Oh gosh, now you find yourself in the same situation, but you have horns and it's a ska beat, and I've never played this music. So here I am going back to YouTube, like searching ska drummers and seeing how they play this stuff and just studying, studying the Police. I mean, Stuart Copeland, what a great, rock reggae drummer he was.
This is gonna sound terrible.
Yes.
But I mean, in my mind, jumping off point is the Specials. And then you get into like outfits like Let's Go Bowling, and then it kind of like shifts into like Boss Tones and some of that more aggressive stuff, and then it kind of takes a life of its own. You have this whole little sub.
Then you could go where you
right.
So I found myself in this genre of music that I've never played before, with musicians that we haven't really hung out before, and it was we wrote some good songs, and with an original band, you write 20 songs, there's maybe one good one, maybe one or two, that you think like this could be the one. And so we had one like that come off the first record. It was called Worth the Wait.
Nice.
And we're still just kind of waiting for somebody to stumble on that's like using it in a commercial or something.
Right.
And then the second record had a couple of good ones, I thought, too. We spent a lot more time, of course, on the second record composing and writing.
So you recorded them both at this place in Roland Park, and then once everything was laid down, who produced it? Who put it? Who went through and listened?
We had Mark produce it as well.
Okay.
So we didn't take it. We didn't take it another place to have someone listen to it with fresh ears and want to make changes with it. We thought that we were happy with the sound as musicians, and we didn't really want to go through the time or trouble to have someone else listen to it and make us change a whole bunch of stuff, or we just kind of wanted to put it out at that point.
Sure.
COVID was still there. We just like, man, let's just get this out.
So is there, for that guy, is there a fee for the studio time and then a fee for him to produce? Two separate kind of deals?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he'll just charge an hourly fee. So
across the board.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
it goes by fast. Let me tell you, when you're sitting in there,
I know, and
you're working on your own material, time it just goes by so fast.
So then how, does the band have to, you play a gig and you get paid, and it's like everybody's going to get not 100% of their portion, because then we're going to take a little bit to sort of have a savings account to pay for stuff like that? Or is somebody fronting it and then hoping to get reimbursed? Or
yeah, I pretty much fronted the recording sessions. And, it was just, I knew I wasn't going to get too much of it back, but, it was just one of those things where, like, let's just pull the trigger and do it. Now, when you play, original shows, or just, especially maybe here in Kansas City, they're just, they don't pay much. And if you're not too well known, they'll, they kind of want you to pair up your own shows. So so we go back to like the old 90s where it was like a 3-band, 4-band, sometimes 5-band showcase. So you would want to play the gig. You call the place. Okay, they'd say, okay, we'll give you a Friday night, but you got to bring 2 other bands. So find 2 other bands that complement you guys. Wow. Okay, so
it's not a small ask, I don't think.
No, so we'd go find these, punk pop bands that would sound okay and open up for us, and we would do mini bar gigs. We did the Riot Room a number of times. It was that was, like I said, I've been playing there since I was 17. One of my favorite clubs. I'm really sorry to see it turned into apartments, whatever they're going to do with it, because it was, honest to God, one of the best rock and roll clubs, along with Davies Uptown. That burned down right before COVID hit. So that was another great place that had been there for years, where I, again, played back in my high school days. And those places were just staples of original rock music in Kansas City. And great bars, great bartenders. The whole vibe was just, it's going to be missed,
Yeah.
I saw Buzzard Beach caught fire, too.
I mean, God, talk
Holy
about...
cow.
Yeah.
A lot of beers in that place.
Yeah. The Buzzard Beach is now closed. If you ever heard that, you were not having an early bedtime that
I met Les Claypool one night.
Really?
They were playing with Mike Watt and the Minutemen.
Oh, man.
This was 92, I think, summer of 92. We were outside of Buzzard Beach on the deck, and he was sitting right behind me. And my friend, who's facing me, says, "Man, I think that's Les Claypool right behind you." So, I just turned around and introduced myself, because I had tickets to the show the next night. I said, "Hey, Les, we're my friend here. We're really excited to come see you play. We're both drummers, and at that time, Herb Alexander was on drums, who was just freaking phenomenal. So he goes." This is my best Les Claypool impersonator. He goes, "Don't throw anything on stage except big bags of weed."
That's a really good Les Claypool. My boss just sent me a couple days ago a Spotify, I guess it's an album, called Coincidence is Either Hit or Miss. And it's
cool.
Mike Watt plays bass on all the songs, but just got different guitar players and drummers and singers. And I was like,
awesome.
What? That's like the most Mike Watt thing I've ever heard. I'm really excited. I've never really I know Mike Watt is very loved and well respected.
Yeah.
I've just never given him the due diligence, but that right there might be how I get in, because that is cool.
Any stuff with the Minutemen is really good too.
Yeah,
really just good rock stuff. So.
Are you into Oysterhead?
Not really. No, I know who they are.
I mean, you've listed 2/3 of the outfit already.
I know, right? I've listened. I mean, it's not something I'd like turn on.
Sure.
Now it's funny, I've been wanting to get this project together for a couple years now, but it just, every time I do it, and sometimes I think, well, it's never going to work. But there's a couple bands out of the UK and Europe one's called Morchiba.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to get like a band like that together.
Dude.
And we had it, but it was, I don't want to name any name. It just didn't work out. It was pretty good, but it didn't work out.
I followed her on Instagram for a minute,
and
then I was like, she's not gonna call me up and ask for a date. I don't need to follow her. But one of my favorite things about this is I pick like 10-second intro and outro audio.
Oh, cool.
For every episode. Twice, and most of the episodes, even though I keep them to 10 seconds, get a copyright flag.
Oh, man.
Which doesn't mean they pull it down. It just means if this were ever monetizable, like it would go to anyway.
Yeah.
More Chivas. It's I've got a list of a whole a lot of tracks from artists that are sort of in that vein, like Groove Armada.
Oh, one of my all-time favorites.
And God, who's the other that's kind of a sibling?
07.
I don't know them. But
I'll check them out. They're really good.
Thievery Corporation.
Oh, one of my favorite bands. I've seen them 4 times, 5 times.
Really?
And they're another underground band that nobody knows that everyone needs to know about them.
So if I do a 10-second track from somebody like Thievery Corporation, I can get away. But Morchiba's big enough that even 10 seconds. I mean, I did episode 3. There was a lot. She's a musician that is sometimes recording stuff. She's gone through some stuff that it just felt right to, the track "Be Yourself."
Oh yeah.
So that thing, I mean, it opens with like a few acoustic guitar strums, and then you get a little and so I was like, that has to be.
That's cool.
And then it got flagged, and then I picked another one recently as maybe, I don't know if I did intro or and it got. I'm like, fucking. Man, Morchiba's too big for me to...
Try 07. They're kind of basically the same band.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like same
down-tempo. No, but it's a down-tempo chill. Okay. Yeah, so...
Fragments of Freedom is maybe still my favorite record of theirs.
Oh, yeah.
The way they have... I kind of... After Chirango, I don't know if they've been putting stuff out still.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Great band, though.
Great band. Thievery's still touring.
Yeah.
So they've been around for 25 years.
That's crazy.
But that whole subgenre of like down tempo chill with a female lead over it. Oh my God. I mean, I don't know why that's so hard to do in Kansas City.
But you're trying to.
I've been trying to do it for a while. It's just it's number one. You have to find the female lead who's into it. We had Paula Saunders come and join. It was a fragment of Casey Green Band, but we played a couple tunes, and we did some more chill. We did Blood Like Lemonade. Okay. We did another one I couldn't remember, but she nailed it.
Nice.
But
was Chirango the record that had Bismarcky on?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
He's also an R.I.P., right?
I know.
Fucking Jesus, man. Anyway. But that would be really, really cool if that ever came to fruition.
I know. And again, it's just finding the venue who will book that.
It wouldn't work at the Ship?
It would probably work at the Ship.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. They're really open to different. You got to be good, but they're open to it. I just find it when I moved back from Atlanta to Kansas City. I forgot how polarized we can be up here in the Midwest. Where it's like, there's a lot of blues clubs here. Mm-hmm. There's no, like, if you look at all the open jams that happen, they're mostly, fronted by a blues band. And that's because, it's open jam. They want people to come out and get their feet wet. And blues music is an easy genre to do that.
Very accessible signatures.
Very accessible. But there's only a handful of places here in the metro where you can book an all-instrumental band and have people actually show up and watch you for 2 hours.
Well, so immediately when I was saying come to fruition, my immediate thought is, you could really, really if you could figure out how to make the draw happen, you could really open a lot of minds musically in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thought I have is there's also a lot of minds in Kansas City that don't want to be opened. Like, I mean, and I'm not trying to be rude, but they just, you know, they'd rather, I like my Muddy Waters.
Yeah.
And I like my Garth Brooks.
It's a blues town. I mean, it's a cow town. It's a bluegrass town. It's a country town.
I like my classic rock.
Yeah.
You know, I love the Moody Blues and ELO. And
see, we need that. We need all that stuff. And all that stuff, I don't have any problem with any type of musical genre at all, or the people who listen to it. You know, as a musician, it's just, everything is just kind of one palette. You know, you're just kind of looking at it, and you just have to find your little square of where you want to play and who you want to play for.
Yeah. Should we take a quick break and then come right back? That's
remember that, you know them?
That's sort of like when you go in Boston's and then into like that other tributary of aggressive punks, like, right? Isn't that who?
They're kind of like, they're pretty progressive. They're like musicians.
So, all
Thanks,
right,
man.
yeah, of course. Cheers.
Oh, gotcha.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I love it. This is fun.
So I'm really still a relative novice, but a guy named Adam Grandiseel is sort of the brainchild behind the War on Drugs.
Okay.
And I think he can kind of play. I mean, he's lead vocals and guitar, but I think he can kind of. I think if need be, he can go into a studio and put out a record that sounds like a 5-piece unit and play all the things.
Where are they from?
Philly.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Philly.
And I'll just have to listen to it maybe on the way home. The drive home. But rock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kurt, you know who Kurt Weill is?
No.
Dude, I gotta send you both of these records.
Okay, do it.
So, I think Adam played with Kurt Weill for a little bit.
Okay.
And I just gotta write this down or I'll forget. I think the War on Drugs has 4 or possibly 5. They just put out a new one like very recently, which I'm of the philosophy that you are not licensed to speak about a record until you've done 3.
Okay.
Front to back,
okay.
You know,
yeah,
and not just doing like you listen to it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that when you do casually listen to it, you already know the stuff. Whatever, it's a stupid rule, but I blogged. I still blog occasionally, but and it started off. I was out in Broncos country, which John Elway kind of. Knife in the back for many years. Wasn't even supposed to play for that team. Got drafted by the Colts, and his dad was like, "My son needs to play," and so whatever. Anyway, and he, was kind of the fourth quarter comeback king, and the number one team that he beat when trailing in the fourth quarter, far and away above other team, Chiefs. So I'm living out there. I move out in 94, and in October of that year, at the old Mile High, Elway leads fourth quarter, come from behind, take the lead with like this much time on the clock, and Montana reciprocated.
Oh, yeah.
And we won.
I remember that game.
Yeah, so anyway, and unfortunately, the Broncos won back-to-back Super Bowls while I was out there, and en route to that first Super Bowl win, traveled to Arrowhead as a wild card to face a 13-3 Chiefs team, and we lost 10-7, and or something like that, or maybe 14-10. I think it might have been 14. And there was like Tony Gonzalez caught a touchdown, and they said he was out of bounds. And there was a bullshit false start or a holding call. Anyway.
Man.
So, I don't know how I wound up on that tangent, but the War on Drugs, they just put out a recent record, and that's not. Oh, so I started a blog with two of the guys from the newspaper staff. They're Broncos fan, lifelong, and so our blog was all kind of Chiefs Broncos, and we were generating like a lot of unique views, and we were like ticket brokers. They're paying us to put links.
Yeah,
we were selling shirts. We were getting traffic. I mean, it was like I was literally like writing checks. But as it started to grow, I kind of became more like your assignments. Your 3 assignments this week are due da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then when they wouldn't come, it started to like put some friction on the relationship, and I kind of just had to like let it go.
Yeah.
Like it had its run. This is like kind of when Deadspin and With Leather and all these kind of sports were like really exploding, and Kissing Susie Colbert, and so we were kind of like in there for anyway. So I just started blogging about the shit that I wanted to write about. So I did. I decided to do top 25 Bob Dylan albums. Oh. So I acquired the ones that I was missing and I gave every record, even if I knew it by heart, I gave every record 3 listens and then ranked them all. And
cool.
So this somebody's like, you got to check out A Deeper Understanding, which is the War on Drugs 2018 record.
Okay.
And it blew my mind. I mean, it is so amazing. And it's kind of like this very crisp, traditional, they've put in the work as musicians, but there's also kind of an electronic feel to it. There's no electronics, but it just
feels like that.
And then he unintentionally or otherwise, he sounds a little like Dylan. So at Grinders, they were in Oklahoma the night before, and he was like, we got to go to the Bob Dylan Museum. I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. And so he's up there talking. I was like, he is a huge Dylan. Like that's not by accident that he sounds, but they're really great. And like I said, I don't know exactly like what the initial Kurt Weill, Adam Grandiseel relationship was, if they were in a different outfit together, but Kurt Weill's got a record that is so freaking, it's like all I can listen to, right? Like if I don't get at least my 5 favorite tracks in every day, I feel like a little withdrawal. But I have gone for 10, cut out COVID, I've gone for 10 years to Fish's Labor Day 3-night run and outside of Denver at Dick's.
Wow.
Which has always been a blast.
I can't do festivals anymore.
It's hard. So I've always gone with the same buddy.
That helps.
And for the first 7 or 8 years, we would drive out and camp. So the venue is where Colorado's version of Sporting KC plays.
Okay.
And then next to it are 3 community soccer fields. So there's just, tents as far as you can see. And then you can just literally walk in. And then there's a whole, there's like a food truck court. There's this family from Wisconsin that brings down like 4 or 5 tractor trailers. And they're all just, it's just showers. That's their business.
Oh, wow.
So I go, cool. I get a hot shower every day. I can shave, and I'm not just, but you either get GA seats or GA floor. And my buddy and I, it was always like, we got to get GA floor so that we're down there. And if one of us doesn't, then we're like trying shenanigans with wristbands and and that was how it went until last year. And I had floor and he had seats, and I was like, I'm not going down. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, just fucking 3 consecutive nights, 2 90-minute sets a night. It's hard. So we literally went from trying to do everything we can to be on the floor every night last year, absolute last row and aisle seat. So The bathroom and the bar are right there. So
isn't that funny how our priorities change as we still want to see the music, but
dude. And so like I can literally go pee and grab a beer and be back in the same song.
Yeah, because Fish plays one song for 20 minutes.
Not all of them, but before you're down there in the thick and you got to find your way to, and then go all the way up. And anyway,
not for me.
So and I mean, it's like we had a hotel room and the U.S. Open was on. So we would literally just like sleep in and then wake up and kind of get around to lunch and then just lay and watch tennis and then figure out what we're going to do for dinner and go to the show. And it was just chill. And even cool. Then set break night 3, I'm like, fuck, my feet are tired, you know, like, so anyway, as the years for this particular 3-night run have gone on, every year is harder and harder with bots.
Yeah,
because they have a lottery, so you can and then if you get shut out, then you're at the mercy of the public on sale,
right?
Which 2 seconds and they're gone.
Yeah.
So then it's like secondary market, or am I trying to get tickets? So anyway, we both got shut out, and he was like, you know what? Forget about let's go to Atlantic City, and I was like, all right. So I jump on and and it's 3 nights. So immediately, I guess.
Wow.
So first weekend in August, we're gonna go. Yeah,
all right, man.
The tagline, the running joke between us ever since my purchase was confirmed was, put your makeup on, fix your hair up pretty, and meet me tonight in Atlantic City. So War on Drugs, those 3 shows, and I think that's all I have, like for real right now. What about you?
Well, Bella Fleck last night.
Right,
that was amazing. My brother-in-law is going to go check out Dead and Company this weekend in Colorado. Both my brother-in-laws are huge Grateful Dead fans. Just kind of funny how that happened that way. I saw him in 89 and 90 with Jerry at Sandstone.
Nice.
And, I mean, yeah, I would never, I love the Dead. But I'm not married to them like my brother-in-law. I just don't, they're just not the same band, even though they sound pretty good. I think Jerry still was underrated as a guitar player lead. I still prefer his voice over Bob Weir's. I just, whatever. I'll just leave it at that. But they're just not the same band.
Well, they're
still making a ton of money, aren't they? Jesus.
Well, so I went out to see. I don't know if they're playing Folsom Field on the CU campus, but I went out for like 3 consecutive July 4th.
Nice.
And it's a Friday, Saturday, and I mean, the first year I was like, tickets are $120 a piece.
Damn.
That's
for the Dead.
That's $250 before I'm getting on a plane. There's no Airbnb.
This was when Jerry was with
No. This is Dead and Co.
Oh, this is Dead and Co.
Yeah, this is fairly recently.
Okay.
And the first year I was like, I don't know about this, John Mayer character. Like, I know his 2 hits, but I loved it. It was so much fun.
He's the real deal. I remember when they had Herring with him for a little bit, and they finally settled on him, or I guess the chemistry was good with him. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt they still jam.
Well, so I did it. I did it a second year. I'm pretty sure I did it a third year, and eventually I was like, they're not. And if you haven't like looked into this at all, like Mayer is like before he was kind of like a sort of a novice student of the Dead, but when this opportunity cropped up, he really like dug his heels in, and like you would see him posting shit like, right now I'm really into 72, 73.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, that's anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he just got handed that. I'm like, why wouldn't you?
Well,
you're carrying that whole band.
Jeff Chimenti. I don't know if it's Chimenti or Chimenti I think it's Chimenti on the keys.
Okay.
He's fantastic. And Oteil Burbridge on bass.
Man.
He's so
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
But after a couple years or 3 years in a row paying those prices and realizing they're really not adding songs to it's like
they're sticking with. They're touring with that set list, basically.
They're mixing it up. They can, do some set list variations across tour, but seeing them kind of July 4th-ish, same venue, it's like we're gonna get a U.S. Blues, and for 4th of July, and we're gonna get a One More Saturday Night, and we're definitely gonna get a China Rider, and it's just like I got it. I like it a lot. It's really cool. I'm not gonna keep doing it though.
I wanted to ask you what we're talking about albums. What is, and I don't think a lot of people do this anymore. Maybe audiophiles do.
What is your definition of an audiophile?
Well, it's just someone who likes to listen. I mean, really gets into the record, really listens for production value. You're listening to the reverb on the snare drum. You're listening to
that's next level
stuff on the guitar. I mean, you got to do it with headphones on if the record's mixed well. But so what's one record that you like to listen to back to front without stopping? I mean, it's like it's got to be listened to back to front.
That War on Drugs record is a good one for that. Okay. I mean, the first time that I ever, I really, like, from a young age was taking babysitting and lawn cutting and then job money to Sound Warehouse and CD, like riding my bike and just dumping all my money. So I still do actually have quite an extensive cassette collection.
Do you really?
Yeah. I sold some through the years, like in high school, where it was like, because I wanted to buy new music, so I would, so where Sound Warehouse, which is originally Peaches,
Peaches,
where it was like stone's throw, there was a secondhand store.
Oh yeah,
and I could take my tapes in there and get $3.
Tape Warehouse.
Was it
Tape Warehouse?
It was something. But anyway, I could take some tapes in there and go get one new one or whatever. But the first one that really, really just keyed me in was Physical Graffiti. I mean, Led Zeppelin 4 was my intro, and then I was like, what is this? Like, holy smoke. So then I went... I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, and House of the Holy, and then I finally had Physical Graffiti, and I don't know if I knew until I had it home that it was a double album. I mean, I knew I paid a little bit more, but I was like, holy shit. So that was a staple for a minute. And then senior year, I got turned on to Fish, and I mean, almost everything in their discography.
Okay.
For me, I mean, there's Junta, Lawn Boy, Rift, and Picture. I mean, like almost all of their, like, I don't every time I don't always do front to back, and really to answer your question, like I don't do that right now. I mean,
I don't either, but sometimes you do. I mean,
so funny story. I'm going to Boulevardia Friday.
Oh yeah.
I'm only going there because, so like around this time last summer when I'm like, I now I got to get gear. The room's ready. I got to get gear. I got to paint. I do all this stuff. But I also, all the while, I'm making a list of people that I want to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I went. Some high school friends were, having people over. Melanie Markison, she's in my Margaret and I's class, and so she's super cool and into music. And I was like, I'm gonna do this thing. You want? She's like, no. And I was like, what? And she's like, I don't want to do that. And I was like, dude, please. And she's like, no. I was like, all right. So I came home, and the weekend, it's the next week, and I'm actually like just right outside building this table.
Yeah.
And she texts me and says, Jenny Lewis, Acid Tongue. And I was like, what? And she's like, that's I was like, you'll do it? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. So I put on that record, and I was like, holy shit. I love this.
Wow.
And I listened to it like 6, 7, 8 times.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I got to see what else she has. And she has 2 other records, one of which I like. The other I like even better than the one she told me about.
Cool.
So I did, and that one's called On the Line. And she's just really, really good. And
cool.
I mean, and if you dig into her, so she was in, she had a couple smaller projects, but then she was in Kylo Riley, one of those.
Oh yeah.
If they've got a couple tracks that, once I kind of dug into them, I was like, oh, but what happened was, my streaming service played me track 1 of that Rilo Kiley record, and I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
And I loved it, and I listened to it over and over again, and I kept, all right, now I'm going to listen to the whole record, but I would keep going back to track 1 because and then finally one day I was like, who is this vocalist? And I looked, and it was her. I was like, well, no wonder I love it. So yeah, I reached out to her, and I was like, okay, now it's time for dates. And she was like, for what? And I was like, the podcast. She's like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, what? You told me. Anyway, so, and I've had the Kurt Weill record for a long time, but very recently I've been listening to it a lot. So much so that, my kids are like, how come you're not listening to Jenny Lewis or Kurt Weill? You still listening to Kurt Weill? Yeah. But what made you ask?
I was just wondering. I remember thinking the first album, one of the first albums, it was Radiohead's The Bends. And I don't know why, but that particular album, and I'll still get that out and listen to that back to front. I just think it's a wonderfully produced album, and the way they arranged those songs. And after that, I just stopped listening to them.
Well,
a lot of people got into them after that, but for whatever reason, and I didn't really listen to Pablo Honey that much, their first record, but their second record had come out in that time of, the golden age there of what we talked about earlier. And, it's just one of those records, much like Siamese Dream from the Smashing Pumpkins. Like every track on there is just, man.
So
there's some that are hard, there's some that are soft, there's some that are acoustic. I mean, it's just, they just put a lot of stuff on that record.
So last night's, the episode I recorded yesterday with my next door neighbor, his record was In Rainbows.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I gotta figure out what's going on, because OK Computer was that for me. Now asterisk, there's a couple tracks that are too much for me.
Yeah.
That I've always skipped. But for the most part, I love that record in its entirety. And once I developed that relationship with that record, I went to the Bends and I went to Pablo Honey, and I was like, nah. But that was tail end of college. That was many years ago. Like, who knows how I would feel today?
Yeah.
But I know that when after I developed this relationship with OK Computer, then Kid A came out, and I got that, and I was like, And then
I didn't even listen to that, I don't think.
Well, then Tom York put out like Eraser or something, and it was kind of the same. I was like, no. And then I just checked out.
Yeah.
So to get ready for this episode, the In Rainbows episode, I was like, I gotta. And it's like, oh, they put out like several records in between Kid A and In Rainbows, and it is, I mean, it's so freaking fantastic. It is.
Yeah. I haven't checked up on what they're doing, but they just seem like a band to me that were always out there. I mean, they're really doing their own thing. They got their own sound.
Yep.
The way they write songs is just a little different than everyone.
They haven't put out a record since 2016.
Is that right?
Yeah. So here's this. I couldn't believe this quote. This is from Tom York. I believe in the rock album as an artistic form of expression. In Rainbows is a conscious return to this form of 45-minute statement. Our aim was to describe in 45 minutes as coherently and conclusively as possible what moves us. And if you pull it up, it's like 46. It's like 10 tracks and it's 46 minutes. Just wham bam, and there's a couple odd tracks, but there are some like beautiful, just like. And I kept thinking, like, this feels really, really close to the heart. And another thing I came across said that when they went to write this record, that it's sort of a step away from this kind of political, paranoid android kind of to a more personal feel. And I feel
I'll have to check it out.
It's good stuff.
That's funny that you said like a 45-minute record. That I think that was the norm back in the day, even less than. In Atlanta, I was with a group, an original group before the jazz trio started. We were called High 8, and great. We started off as a cover band, but we put out one record with like, I think 6 songs on it. It was like 27 minutes, and we played around. We had a van. We had a great lead singer, still one of my true dear friends to this day. He lives in Charleston now, but Dave Kelly had a just big guy with a big voice. But when you're down in Atlanta, you could travel 4 hours in any direction and be in another state at another bar, and that was the great thing about living down there in the South.
You can't get to Florida in 4 hours.
No,
but you can get to
Auburn, you get to Carolina, almost to Nashville,
Mississippi,
or Mississippi. But we do gigs over in Auburn a lot.
Okay,
they'd like us over there.
Nice.
Augusta, we'd go down to Augusta and play. But that band kind of dissolved too after a while. We don't even have that CD digitized on YouTube or anything. I think we sell like 500 CDs and boxes.
Oh man, wow!
That was recorded in 2000.
Wow,
we did that record in 2000.
So again, going back to that sort of fronting for the studio time, the production, like there. So are you 100% like? That I'm happy that I made that investment and it's not going to come back to me, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, you have to put up a little bit. But yeah, I don't have there's no regrets in this business, because you go in thinking that, well, you're never gonna, you're doing this for your own. For your own brain, kind of. You're not going to like, well, I'm going to be a millionaire through this, or I expect to make this tonight. And there's some guys out there that, they expect to make a certain amount when they play, and they they want that guarantee. That's fine. But I don't think that's realistic, especially in this day and age. We played at the Ship the other night, and with the economy and gas prices the way they are right now, I just told the audience, man, we really appreciate you guys being here and spending $20. I mean, it was a $10 cover. You're paying for some drinks. He drove. I mean, that's right in this day and age. That's a lot of money to come out and see a live band. So,
yeah.
But I think people want to get out. Still for live music.
For sure.
I mean, I think that's one thing that people will pay for out of pocket is to go see live music.
And maybe to a lesser extent, maybe a varying extent, but stand-up comedy, is like a thing that people will get out and go to.
That too.
It's similar in that it's this gathering of strangers that share a very, very, very similar interest.
Yeah.
And you all sort of get to experience the euphoria together. Even if you don't meet anybody new, you're all
there for a reason. Yeah.
So
that's funny. Yeah.
So mom was into Elvis and dad was into Motown.
Both, kind of both in the Motown, but both I remember they brought home the Blues Brothers record from the movie one day, and that record really hit me as like, man, because it had Aretha Franklin on there, Ray Charles. I mean, all these greats on this record. And when I started playing the drums, that was the first kind of cassette that I would play to.
Nice.
Because all these great arrangements, but as a drummer, they were fairly simple to pick up, just kind of backbeats, but it taught me a lot about playing in the pocket and
oh wow,
and just staying there and like, the Peter Gunn theme, that drum beat does not change the whole song. So you're just playing the same beat, and that really taught you as a drummer, there's a lot of discipline. I want you to be so good I don't even notice you.
Dude.
Kind of that mentality.
Any other things that mom and dad were playing that kind of stuck around?
Beach Boys.
Okay. Nice.
So I got to hear all those great harmonies.
Yeah.
Listening to those harmonies. Yeah. The Eagles.
Okay.
But nothing crazy.
Right.
Nothing psychedelic. Nothing. Sure. And I only got that later on.
Well, so then
because I didn't hear any of this stuff. So when like Zeppelin came around and Rush came around, I'm like, oh.
So was there a first like non-mom and dad record that you heard, or a record that you went and bought, or?
Since my uncle had played drums, he was playing there in Columbia. I remember seeing Moving Pictures.
Oh yeah.
As a record, and looking at that album cover and thinking, this is kind of a strange, these people moving pictures. There's a half naked guy in front of a red pentagram star. What's going on? And then you open up the record and you see just these three guys, and the picture is like long exposure, so you see like 30 frames of Geddy and Alex and Neil all with their instruments, and they just look like, man, these guys are doing something crazy.
Well, so when I reached out to you, by the way, how do you know Cheerheart? Just from Indian Hills?
And we played basketball together in 8th grade.
Okay. Man, we
were terrible.
He is such a trip.
He is a trip.
Speaks so highly of you.
Oh my
By the way, he gave me, and I'd have to look because I don't remember. He gave me one other person's, and I fired off to you, and I fired off, and I don't think they ever responded.
Oh, really?
And I was like, opposite ends of the spectrum.
That's weird.
Because you're like, yeah, let's do it anyway.
Yeah.
So you hollered back with Moving Pictures, Rush, which was 81.
Yep.
And then Zeppelin 1, which is 69.
69.
And Axis Bold as Love, which is
68?
67.
67.
So,
man,
when I get a list of, it's a mixed bag, right? Like, a lot of these episodes have been one album or 3 albums or a bunch of albums that I've never heard before, and so I really have to dig in.
Oh yeah,
and like pay attention. But those 3 records,
it's kind of like.
But nevertheless, I revisit them, and I just a quick glance, like look some stuff up. So funny that you mentioned the cover art for Moving Pictures, because it's described as a triple entendre. So you have these people that are moving pictures,
right,
and then the people that are watching the pictures be moved are having emotional reactions because the pictures are gorgeous.
Okay.
And then the people witnessing the moving of the pictures is being filmed or by like a crew, like,
Oh yeah.
I never noticed that. I only had it on cassette, so I didn't have the full, and I was like, really?
Wow.
That is wild.
I didn't think about that.
So your mom's brother introduced or gave you a copy, or how did this?
He introduced me to him, and he was listening to him a lot, and that album cover was out on the turntable, and I just was looking at it. And this was before, I was probably like 8 or 9. I was still playing piano. I had no idea. And so that, I'd never listened to him. I saw the album, but I didn't get back into him until I was like 15.
Yeah.
So it took a long time. And all those bands came at me at once. It was Rush, and then it was Zeppelin and Hendrix. They are all, like, once I started getting into the drums, that it was just a whole nother wave of music. Like, man, it just unlocked, and I couldn't stop listening to all these guys. I mean, when you hear How Many More Times, when you hear that bass line, and that's just the heaviest thing I'd ever heard.
I made one note for that song: fun bass and guitar gain, killer finish to the record.
I mean,
but Moving Pictures, like kind of, in that sort of 45-minute Radiohead and Rainbows feel, and this is the heyday of the making of records, the 70s spilling into the 80s, and I've talked about this a bunch, but if you're, and it sounds like your outfits have been like largely surrounded with good vibes, but often you have a band that at least back then, a series of events has to happen for, say, an Atlantic Records to pony up for some studio time. And then you guys have got to, if you don't already have your act together, you got to get your act together.
Yeah.
You got to show up. You got to be on time. You got to be efficient. You got to know, hopefully your songs are already written. And you're not like spending, but you got to choose what songs are going to go on, what the order's going to be, and hope that David Geffen or whoever signs off on it, and so many fights.
Oh,
People storming out of recording sessions. And anyway, of all the elements that go into recording and producing and releasing a record, like they had to know that Tom Sawyer was a monster. They had to know, and they went track one.
Yeah.
Like,
here we go.
Well, and so it's like, maybe I'm wrong, but assuming that they knew that it was a monster, why not feature a couple of other tracks, and drop Tom Sawyer in the 3 or the 4 hole? Anyway, it's just fascinating to me that they lead off with it. But there's really, in my mind, not much left to say about that song. Like, it was so big that it almost overshadowed the rest of the record. I mean,
it's one of those songs that, and Neil spoke about this all the time, it's hard to play every time you play it, and you can never get really comfortable even practicing to it. It's an endurance song, and every time you play it, you just have to be 100%. You can't relax on it. I mean, you're doing the 16th notes on the hi-hat, and it just doesn't quit. But yeah, so that song, I mean, everybody knows that song. When you say Rush, oh yeah, didn't they write Tom Sawyer? But to me, their earlier stuff, their really progressive stuff, that really trained my ear on, like, oh, here's what a 7-8 minute song sounds like. It has different movements. You can, there's so much stuff going on with one song sometimes. Like, yeah, I'd never heard that before. All these Motown songs were 2.5 minutes.
Right. Well, so I did this thing where, whatever, it doesn't matter, but I went out and I got my cassette copy, and I would just, Tom Sawyer would end, and I would rewind and listen to it again, and then I would like move on, listen to something else. And so often that, like, if I would want to hear Tom Sawyer, I would catch every once in a while. I wouldn't have rewound it. Like, what a slouch. And then one day it was like, how about give the rest of the record a listen? And Red Barchetta.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
man,
killer track,
killer story.
And a 6-minute, 11-second track in the 2 slot. Like, we don't give a fuck, like, your 345 or your 410. Like, we're going to
bring it.
You've mentioned YouTube quite a bit. I assume you're aware of the existence of reaction videos.
I don't know what those are. Oh yeah, I do. Where they listen to a band for the first time,
or watch a comic or watch a movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good Rush reaction videos out there.
Yeah.
And YYZ is no exception. I've seen a lot of them. If you're interested at all, a good one to start with is these two dudes lost in Vegas.
Okay.
And I got to go back to my notes of stuff to send you. Vegas, like they don't know, and the thing about reaction videos, man, it's like there's an element in writing. There's a thing called suspension of belief, and so you like you're watching a movie, and this guy he goes out his front door and down his porch and down the sidewalk, and then the next scene they cut to he's walking up somebody else's sidewalk, and you know that it's like a 30-minute walk, but 4 seconds. So you go, oh well, okay, but. So there's a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot of people doing the reaction video thing because they want to grow to the point where they're being monetized, and they would like to make a living doing it, and good for them. But
you could probably fake it pretty good too.
That's where I'm going with this. Like, I think I think there's some people that say. This is my first time, but it's not. Anyway, these guys, at least in this case, like they don't, and they'll pause and talk about stuff, and they're kind of like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? And like, when are the vocals coming in? And then they really get in. Rush really gets into what YYZ is, and they're like. And it's, I mean, there's never in my mind been a song written like it, and probably never will be again.
It's the quintessential instrumental I think every musician wants to master if you're into that. It certainly was. If you could play YYZ in high school, then
future is bright.
You wanted to play with that guy.
So what is the glass shattering sound?
I believe it was sticks of plywood that he somehow smashed in the studio and recorded that.
Cool.
Because I'm not sure, but if you read in the liner notes under what Neil Peart plays, it says,
is that
drums,
the proper
gong,
pronunciation? Peart?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Mm-hmm. I've said Peart for decades.
It's Peart. But they list all this stuff, glockenspiel, triangle, and then plywood. So I don't know if that stuff you're hearing, it sounds like something breaking. I was like, well, maybe it's just someone breaking a 2x4 or something. So I don't really know how they got that.
It's really cool regardless.
Yeah.
So when he passed away, oh
man, I'm still getting over that.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of people are.
Yeah. There was, and I'm sure for like super fans, this was not news, but I had never seen this. In my mind, it's now famous. I had never seen this overhead shot of his kit until he passed away.
Wow.
And I mean, I made it my Facebook profile picture for a month or something, and it looks unreal. Like, I see it and I'm like, I think there's like 17 cymbals, and also like, where does he walk in? Like, there's so much happening. Like,
it's more of like one instrument kind of, I mean, that was a part of him. That was a part of his sound.
What do you mean, one instrument?
Just like there was the drum set. It was like one tom or one cymbal. The whole thing was just a unit that he got behind and just strapped on like a motorcycle, man, and just played it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate this is, but if you, for lack of a better word, we're going to use the term hit. If you made a list of all the Rush hits, I feel like Limelight doesn't get the love it deserves. I think that is absolutely beautiful track that tells an amazing story about what they are doing as musicians. And it's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's a Rush song. It's like, no, man,
That's one they consistently played live when I saw them a lot. So yeah,
I saw them the only time I ever saw them was for Roll the Bones, and I think it was at Kemper.
Yeah,
great show. And they did.
Was that Primus opening up?
Might have been.
Or Mr. Big.
Mr. Big. It was Mr. Big. It was Mr. Big.
Oh, man.
But I had never seen, and I still have never seen, another artist do a medley.
Oh,
where they kind of run through snippets of a bunch of songs, and it kind of just rapid.
That was cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah, that was a good tour.
Yeah, well, and that was a good record, too.
That was a good record.
I mean, it didn't get a lot of notoriety, but that's some really good tracks on it.
It came out during the grunge phase.
Yeah.
That was it was rock and, but they still maintained their progressive edge and just, it's just, it was funny because every time I'd go to one of their shows, and I saw them a lot, it was, it's just all these, you would see all these musicians, it's just like it brought all these, because no one else was at the time was like blowing people's heads off.
Right.
Really.
Right.
Especially in the rock, because you still had the hairband thing going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, Mr. Big, they came out with that.
Yeah.
I'm the one. Yeah. But aside from that, they were kind of a hairband, right? A little bit.
And you still had the cheese going on. You still had Bon Jovi. You still had, but then you had Rush, and they were just kind of head and shoulders above. They just rose above all that kind of Guns N' Roses stuff. They were just Rush. They were just kind of out in their own thing.
What was
all those years,
There were two big tracks from Roll the Bones. One was the title track, and the other was Ghost of a Chance.
That one in Dreamline.
Dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun,
oh, yeah.
Dun, dun,
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was cool. That's a great song.
The Camera Eye kind of feels like an Odyssey. And also like the Camera Eye is a line from, is it Limelight or is it Tom Sawyer?
It's the fourth track. So it's
no, I mean it's the phrase caught in the camera's eye.
Caught in the camera eye.
That's Limelight.
Yeah, that's from Limelight.
So you get like a mentioning of the notion, and then you get a song called that, and it's like, you guys are really in your own head anyway. This is maybe the most fascinating thing to me, and I didn't know this. So Witch Hunt, Part 3 of Fear. And I was like, what does that mean? And so you have The Weapon from Signals off of 82. The Enemy Within from Grace Under Pressure, 84. Freeze from Vapor Trails in 2002. And so if you take Witch Hunt, The Weapon, The Enemy Within, and Freeze, it's a 4-part story or whatever that spans 20 years.
It's a 4-part trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
I don't know. Neil was good about doing that. I remember he had one off Roll the Bone, that instrumental.
I don't
Where's
remember.
My Thing?
Oh,
and he put it. The caption under it was Part 4 of the Gangster of Boats trilogy.
And it closes with Vital Signs, and I mean, it's like, what is that? 7 tracks?
Yeah. See, that was.
But I mean, one of these is the Camera Eye like 10 plus.
It's up there.
I mean, it's not short. I mean,
no.
You think Red Barchetta at 6 plus in the 2 slot is long, and then you get down.
Camera Eye, which is the first song on the second side of the album. So it's like it's about like 8 or 9. I think. It's up there.
Really good record.
And
I don't mean to keep coming back to this, but Tom Sawyer kind of maybe overshadowed the rest of. Obviously, some folks know Limelight, and even probably fewer folks know YYZ.
Yeah,
if you're a Rush fan, those are no slouches,
right?
But I mean, there's a lot to be said for the other 4 tracks on the record.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, certainly worth a visit if you never have sat down and done a front to back or a back to
front. It's a good one to do. That is true.
So Axis Bold as Love. In my mind, I don't know if you knew Ian Gordy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was playing Solid Gold Easy with John Brick.
That's right.
For a minute.
Yeah.
He came on and he chose Electric Ladyland.
Oh.
I knew I always so I went to 6 grade schools. Like I was moving all the time.
Yeah.
And then And then we land in PV and I go to Prairie and then move again. It's like but now everybody's moving.
Yeah.
And so we had first hour, which I think back on this and it's like, why are you making 7th graders take life science at 8:00 in the morning? But we had life science with Dave Taylor.
Oh yeah.
And so we had those
Lab
big black tables that would seat 2 and it was alphabetical. So Gordy, John, we sat next to each other and I was so tiny until like senior year. I grew like just shot. I thought I was anyway. So, Ian's this massive dude and I'm tiny. And he was kind of the first person from another grade school that I got to know just randomly. And so I knew since back then that he was a Hendrix fan. Oh. So when he hit me with Electric Lady, and I was like,
oh man,
what? I knew you were going to do that. What took you so long? So in my mind, when I would go and do the cassette shopping, buying tapes, like he remembers having access or options of like 10, 11, 12 Hendrix albums. And to me, there was always only 3.
Yeah.
And I remember like Radio 1 came out and then all of a sudden a couple other things were sort of, but they all seemed to always kind of feature tracks from other previously released records. So for the longest time in my mind, it was like, why are there only 3 Jimi Hendrix albums? But those are just Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Right.
So you've got Ladyland, Are You Experienced, and Bold as Love. And to me, Bold as Love has always been my favorite.
I just like the writing on that and the arranging on that and his lyrics. It just seems like, I don't know. It's just one of those that just stuck out to me. I'm a huge Hendrix fan.
Yeah, man.
And I don't know why he spoke to me so much as a drummer, but
right.
I just
I think you have sort of like the Doors. You got Jim Morrison, and it's like there's 3 really good musicians back there, like tearing shit up. Jim's doing a lot of drugs and a little bit of singing. Those guys have to rehearse.
Yes.
He just has to show up.
Yeah.
But so I think that you get the other 2, and it's is it Noel Redding?
Mm-hmm. Mitch Mitchell.
Like I think very few people recognize that they were kind of top notch dudes, man.
And you go back to a trio setting, which I like being in a trio. I like the chemistry. It's probably my favorite configuration.
Yeah. I mean,
if I could do it, I would work in a trio most of the time.
I'm a pretty huge ZZ Top fan too. I mean, you talk about underrated rock bands. I mean,
totally
Americana.
Yeah.
Like, they put out some killer records.
They were good. They were very, very good. Yeah,
R.I.P. to Billy, right? No, Dusty. So you got the funky little EXP intro track. Up from the Skies, kind of like a just sort of beautiful coasting, trippy feel.
Yeah, the arrangements on that album were just a little, just more complex. I think it's such a shame that he died.
Yeah,
because I think he was one of those individuals who wanted to keep just improving and just doing different things. I mean, who knows? I mean, a lot of people said, well, he would have gotten together with Miles Davis and done this, or, gotten together with the Rolling Stones and toured with them. I mean, who knows what would have happened?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
He could have just kept doing his own thing, too.
But he could have been like, I just think of him as just, it was such a tragedy that he was going to keep changing music. And people were going to keep being influenced by him, whatever he did.
He did this kind of blew my mind. Gypsy Eyes off Electric Ladyland, 50 takes.
No kidding.
And I guess he was, when it came time to being in this, I guess he was kind of like, nope, like just sort of perfectionist.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So I came across a line that said most critics consider this the least memorable of the three.
Is that right?
Jimi Hendrix Experience. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Who are these most critics? I want their email addresses. Yeah.
Interesting.
Spanish Castle Magic.
Just probably my favorite off the record.
It's so beautiful.
Man.
It just rips. Like, and I mean, I say a lot of stupid stuff, so why not just continue with that? But I mean, I just feel like songs like that weren't written before. You didn't. There wasn't like a Spanish Castle Magic blueprint where you listen to that and you're like, oh, he's doing his Mick Jagger blah blah blah.
Or it sounds like this. Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I think I like it. Every song on there just sounds completely original. So, even coming from Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, dude.
Wait Until Tomorrow has a vibe that I think is, if I gun to my head, my all-time favorite Hendrix sort of vibe.
Yeah,
to a song.
totally.
Because you can shred and you can do some psychedelic things. And
good drums in that, too.
Yeah, and it's just like... What is this? It's sort of like the wardrobe to Narnia. Like what? There's a whole other.
Yeah.
Ain't No Telling. It feels a little like Stone Free.
Yeah, it does.
Kind of. I don't know how else to.
It's got that feel to it. Yeah.
Little Wing kind of became its own little chapter in the Hendrix.
Once Stevie Ray got and did that, everyone thought it was Stevie Ray, and they're like, "Oh no, go back to this."
I know, which you can go the opposite direction with All Along the Watchtower.
Yeah,
which different.
Yeah,
we're not talking about that record, but I mean, like, and impossible to compare the two, but like he really took that and said, "No, I didn't write this song, but I'm rewriting it in a way that." Almost make you forget the other one.
Good album art on Axis too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
real psychedelic
for sure.
Like this album's going to make you happy, and it's just going to be out there.
Yeah,
it's not your typical Hendrix Experience, let's say.
I didn't have a whole lot to say about If 6 Was 9 or You Got Me Floating.
Yeah. Hendrix kind of had that way. He'd kind of write something and just let the beat go and then say something else. Kind of like that vibe. But
Castles Made of Sand, hip, bouncy. I mean,
oh man,
hard not to dig.
Totally.
She's So Fine, absolute shredder.
So oh man, yeah, and his guitar sound on that too. I mean, it was just. I don't think I've ever seen a documentary of how that album was recorded. I'm sure it's out there, but I would like to see. I'm sure he tried a lot of different things on that album.
Well, I mean,
as far as recording wise, or maybe he was putting the amp in a different location, or miking it differently, or I don't know.
I think he was. I don't want to say hands on, but I think he was very involved with the board. Too, and maybe not actually potting up and down and twisting knobs, but aware and let's do this,
all that stuff was really new back then too.
One Rainy Wish is like to me it's this sort of Indian, Latin, African,
totally,
and just all kind of spills out and gorgeous vocals.
And see, that's another thing with Hendrix. He was he would insert some of that. What do you want to say? Just organicness back into it sometimes with some of the percussion and maybe some of the overdubs that he did on it to make it sound like it was more native kind of. I don't know, but yeah, definitely on that one.
And like maybe not with much intention.
Yeah,
maybe it was intentional, but it sort of seemed like it was just kind of oozing out of him, like which makes it even to me,
better.
Yes, absolutely,
you can feel it.
Yes,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Little Miss Lover. I mean, so Bold as Love. It might be my all-time favorite Hendrix tune. To me, it's an absolutely perfect song, and the major nerd in me believes that 9 times out of 10, if Fish covers a song, they do it better than the original.
Yeah.
And they've done some wonderful covers of Bold as Love. And I'm not trying to say that it's apples and oranges, right?
Yeah,
I'm not Trey versus Jimmy and their live sound versus his studio thing. But they, and Paige takes the vocals, and you know, my mellow in this case is not so. He just is like a kid in a candy store, and it's just I absolutely love that tune.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like it's just what other song like kind of pops and then is sort of just spilling, you know?
No doubt.
It's fantastic, and then you get like all literally like this phenomenon where you're talking about feelings and emotions and colors, and you can see them. It's like you can see, you know, I don't know. It's just a really wild creation, that track for me.
There was I don't know how I found the CD. I worked at a record store. Well, it was Peaches, the old Peaches. It was like Blockbuster Music or something.
Yeah.
And so we could special order from employees. So my friend had this catalog. It was like, you want a special order a CD, like imports, you know. And so
those were never cheap.
No, but this one was a particular album with Timothy Leary. It was like a spoken word Timothy Leary with Hendrix playing over it, improvising.
What?
Yes.
You still have this?
No. But I think you can find it on YouTube.
Sure.
It's just this Hendrix. I don't know what track it was, but it is awesome. It's instrumental. And
instrumental with spoken word?
With Timothy Leary talking over it with this reverb going on, and you need to be sitting on the couch to listen to it. But and then it just goes off with Timothy Leary like 30 minutes, just like, okay, this is
right.
Turn it off after that. But the Hendrix stuff at the beginning is like, how did he hook up to record this? And somebody, but it's Hendrix, man, and it just grooves hard.
That's
man.
cool.
It just grooves.
So we go 81, skip back to 67, and now we take a small step forward to 69 with Do You, you know, so everybody's like, it's not Led Zeppelin 4 and it's not Zoso. But what about the first one?
The first one,
just Led Zeppelin, or do you call it Led Zeppelin 1?
Just Led Zeppelin 1, I guess.
Well, okay.
But that one, man, it just, that band hit me as hard as anything when I first heard them, because they took what I liked with Hendrix with the kind of the R&B blues, you know, stuff, and then you just have this drummer that's taking these blues songs and just inserting this huge bass drum, snare drum groove over everything and just making it sound like a sledgehammer. And then John Paul Jones, who's completely underrated. I don't want to say underrated, but
I do.
He is underrated, but God,
not many people realize that he was
bass player.
He was taking on bass and keys, and occasionally played a little
and arranging a lot too.
Yeah,
I mean, you had those two guys in your rhythm section. I mean, anybody could have played over that shit. Dude.
Well, I mean, obviously Bonham. You know, if you know instrumentation or specifically drums, you go kick But I mean, he could also. Dude, he could hit everything.
He was so fast
in a rolling kind of like just.
That was the thing. I mean, that was the thing about him. He was as fast as Buddy Rich, but and no one has ever been as powerful and just in your face as he has, and still maintain the pocket. That's so hard to do,
dude. And so, first record, first track, Good Times, Bad Times, dude. Which is just, you talk about the way that Hendrix track, the way Axis kind of, it's just like
what's coming?
Who opens a track and a record with that? And then you kind of get that Bonham splash to kick it off, and then so you're however many layers deep before you get the opening lines to the in the days of before the story's even being. You're like, whoa, I got to rewind. That was wild. Dude. What's happening?
And then the chorus, Good times,
yeah. And then I've always really, really loved that final bang, and then a pause before you get it's just like, holy shit, man.
Yeah, perfect.
You guys are breaking all kinds of barriers that in a good way.
This is 69. I mean, it's just like, this people would just be like, what the hell is this?
Now, so I told you, 4 was kind of how I dove in, and then I went 1 through 3, House of the Holy, and there's a lot of different I mean, it's a little embarrassing. Like if you get my high school buddies around, like you, and make them talk, like all you listen to is Led Zeppelin. It's like that's not true. But I did listen to a lot of it.
I mean, everyone went through their phase where like they didn't write a bad song.
But
I mean, I don't think they did. But
well, Led Zeppelin, Coda and Presence. I mean,
there's a lot of good stuff. I mean Okay, so off Coda, I remember KY102 played Bonzo's Montreux, right? Just the drum track. I'm like, I didn't know who it was.
Right.
I'm like, what is this?
Pretty cool.
And it was only a couple months later that someone was playing. I'm like, I just heard that on the radio, but they never told me who it was.
So, I my sort of journey was like a lot of WHB. Okay. A lot of oldies. It's all I really heard in the car.
Yeah,
and then we had a record player, and we had a few records, and then just a really long swath of nothing but the Fox. And just sort of living in classic rock land forever.
Right.
Until I loved it so much, then I became kind of miserable. Just anyway.
Right. It can do that to you.
I think and so I thought that I was at whatever level knowledgeable of music, and then I heard "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You," and I was like, I don't know anything. Like just the way the sort of slow plucking kind of, and the plants fucking and echoing, and just I mean they're working on if the track's 5 minutes long. For 3 minutes and 45 seconds, they're working on the build-up.
Right.
And then everything just and it's just like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Good song to listen to when you break up with someone.
And then they really just kind of turn everything on its head with "You Shook Me." Oh, you kind of get this sort of muffled lyrical intro to the song, and then just right into grungy blues, right?
See, and that's... They just dropped it so hard on that. They, like you said, it can be a little acoustic with just Robert Plant and Page, and then the rhythm section kicks in. It's just so heavy, man. It's just like, but it's still the R&B. It's just still,
So if The Camera Eye is an Odyssey, Dazed and Confused is like a Greek masterpiece that lives among the gods.
It does.
I personally don't want to listen to that song anymore. It's just, I don't know how. It's not like that song got a lot of radio play, but I just happen to have heard it. Like, I know it doesn't do anything for me anymore, but that doesn't diminish the respect that I have for what it was probably perceived as in 1969. Like,
man, It always, to me, that one always sounded better live because when John Paul hits that bass line, when it starts cooking, it's just like, oh,
yeah,
dude, hang on.
Yeah. Slow, like you didn't quite get buckled in for the roller coaster and the thing's going up the hill. You're like, shit.
I mean, that was really freaky for when it came out.
Yeah.
Like 69. Man. I mean, that was like borderline, like this is kind of metal. I mean, this is sound. This is dark. I mean, this is, man.
Capital D dark.
And like you said, a longer track, 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, unheard of.
So, like, everybody else can have Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
And I'll keep Your Time Is Gonna Come for me.
Oh, man.
Something about like churchy organs that just really get my rocks off.
Me too.
And then so you kind of get warmed up, and then you get this,
and then the beat drops,
and it's really simple,
dude. It's simple, but it's like, oh man.
And Plant is superb on that one. Lion, cheat.
Another
right?
good one. Another good breakup song.
I never. So I get like way deep into this whole Zeppelin thing, and it never occurred to me that all the way back to the first record, we're getting little nuggets of killer acoustic Jimmy Page, just out of left field, and Black Mountainside. You know, you kind of Bronyer Hour, however you pronounce that, is still,
dude,
so incredibly beautiful,
and that showed their just scope of like what they were going to do over the last 10 years. You know, they only lasted about 10 years. Not long.
Yeah.
And they changed a lot. I mean, Jimmy Page changed a lot for guitar players. Bonham certainly changed a lot for drummers.
Dude, I mean,
he's still an influence. I mean, he's still like probably top 3 influences from a lot of drummers out there.
I mean, it's
rock drummers anyway.
It's Bonham and Peart, and what's the?
They wrote this. I mean, they wrote it.
Who's the number 3?
I mean, Stuart Copeland. Maybe
that's the only other place.
But they're all from, they're all relatively the same age. But you could go back and say, oh well, who influenced
Homeboy from the Who?
I mean,
what was his name?
Keith Moon.
Yeah, Keith Moon. He was fantastic.
But Mitch Mitchell from Hendrix.
Mitch Mitchell.
I mean, he was all over the place on the drums on a 4-piece kit and making it sound like he had 19 pieces up there.
No, I typically don't bring a lot of or very many at all negative things to say about Zeppelin, but Communication Breakdown, that's never done anything for me. I mean, I
like that one.
Well, I mean, and it could be one of those that it did get a lot of radio play.
Yeah.
Not like Kashmir or Stairway, but
it was a hard-hitting, quick song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we get into I Can't Quit You, Baby, which, say what you want to say about the alleged or proven theft
right
from these black blues who deserve whatever credit, royalties, whatever. I'm not trying to say they don't, but you can't, if you want to, and I've met several that really, they still to this day want to wave that there's rip-off artists, like they were taking like sort of skeleton and adding the muscle and the flesh and the blood and the 5 senses. It's not like they don't deserve credit for creating something new and original, because they were. And if you want to argue, go argue it with some other guy. Because I Can't Quit You, Baby, and really the creme de la creme for me has always been Since I've Been Loving You. Like from Zeppelin 3. I think I'm not gonna say it's the best Zeppelin song, but I think it's the best Bonham showcase in the discography.
Man,
I mean, how many rolls across? I mean, and he's not doing the simplest, most easy beat across
for a slower blues song, right?
He's a busy man.
Yeah.
And then they kick it into overdrive and he takes over.
Yeah.
But for me, I Can't Quit You Baby is kind of like the jumping off. It's that without, you can't have Babe, I'm going to leave you without I Can't Quit You Baby.
See, that to me, that was, that's going back to just that R&B sound with, like you said, just the strength of Zeppelin kind of not resurrecting those old blues tunes, because those old blues tunes were written because those guys were feeling pain. I mean, those guys wrote those songs because they weren't being treated fairly, and they had a lot of pain they had to get out, and so they wrote those tunes to obviously help them. And then so Zeppelin picks those old blues tunes up and injects, like you said, their thing, and man, there you go. They're selling millions of records.
Well, and so it took a long while to get to where we are today.
Yeah,
but I don't know if there's still pending litigation or if all of the things have been settled. Yeah. But I feel like at very least the families of some of those artists, if the artists aren't still around, they got a little bit of money. And also there's a couple of situations where we don't know that those artists, we didn't know their names before,
or who had rights to those songs back then.
Yeah, it's like, just all like Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters, well, let me find out what's, and then you learn about them.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, thank God for those guys, because
exactly.
It's just, they laid down everything for the basis of rock, blues,
sure,
a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's just a natural progression, I think. But I think the reason I picked these 3 albums, when you ask me to, as far as influential albums, there hasn't been a lot of, and I'm bad about picking up new bands. Like you and a few other of my friends, I was like, man, but you got to check out these guys. So it's good to have those friends out there, because there is really good music still being made. I'm not motivated to go seek it out myself. So these albums that I picked, I still go back to them and listen to them quite a bit.
As you should. They're fantastic. I don't no interest whatsoever in trying to trash or downplay Dazed and Confused and Communication Breakdown. But if you want to talk that hard hitting punchy, set how many more times? I like that.
I do too.
I mean, we already talked about fun bass. The guitar, there's some gain kind of or sustain. I don't know which.
I don't know
reverb.
What they did.
And then also, what a killer way to finish off the record.
Oh man, totally. That's it.
Take your headphones off and I got.
What was that?
I got to step outside, man. That was nuts.
But there was so much mystery surrounding Zeppelin. I think some of it's made up. There's been all these books written about them, some of the occult stuff. But you know what? They were just a good rock band in time that lasted this time, and they put their mark on it, and influenced a ton of people, which is pretty good in 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, man.
I can't think of another band who's been, kind of on that, cusp of an R&B, kind of a good rock blues band who's totally brings it.
I mean, and so for sure all those 3, but your occasional flirt with funk. I mean, John Paul Jones and Bonham to an extent. Never really getting all the way in the pool.
Right.
But just kind of a little toe dip. Yeah. I mean, so good.
Well, if you listen to stuff off Coda, which was, before Bonham died, you could see where they were going, and I think they, to my ear, they were kind of and I don't know who was influencing, I don't know who was telling them to write certain, we need you to write more pop songs, because it was becoming, 81, after, Bonham died, I think in 80?
I think so.
81?
I think so.
Like that?
80 or 81 for sure.
So you could see where the producers might wanted them to go more pop route, maybe you could see Zeppelin in like 85 having an album out that's like more.
Yeah,
can you see that? Maybe if he would have lived, I don't know what they would have done. But
well, a band that
it's weird to think about that.
I never. I mean, before I was really, really, really into Zeppelin, I spent a good solid bit of time with Aerosmith.
Okay.
And so they kind of, whatever class. Like I knew the hits, "Dream On," of course, and "Walk This Way." But
Toys in the Attic.
Well, so Permanent Vacation comes out in 87, and it's got Angel and Dudes Looks Like a Lady, and then Pump is in 91 with Lovin' It, blah, blah, blah. But my next door neighbor was in a band way back in my mom's PV house. He was now a dad with a job, but he had been a guitar player in a band for like 10 years. Uh-huh. And when he found out that I was like digging music, I bought a guitar and I was taking lessons at the tune shop, and he came over, and like it took him a minute, but all of a sudden he was doing the rhythm to Highway Star.
Oh yeah.
By Deep Purple. Yeah. And then he kind of like worked his way. He painted himself into a corner thinking he was going to be able to nail the solo without trying it. And he kind of, but anyway, he's like, dude, you got to listen to some old Aerosmith. And he gave me Toys in the Attic.
Oh, yeah.
And then Rocks. And then I went self-titled and Draw the Line. And there was another. So anyway, I took in all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, well, now I gotta have the rest, because I have this, and then I have these two newer that I kind of like, but I really appreciate this.
Yeah,
there's some really, really ripping dark tunes that they wrote back when, like Lord of the Thighs. I'm just one of many that come to mind. But in the middle was sort of what you're talking about, like what would 85 Led Zeppelin sound like, and so they had they kind of, I think. The Toxic Twins, Steven Tyler and Joe.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple of like on stage collapses from getting after it a little too hard, and like shows had to. So then they go to rehab, or whoever, and then they put out a record called "Done with Mirrors."
Yeah,
it is absolute garbage.
Yeah, they're all off the drugs.
Well, I mean, but I think, in all fairness, I think the one that they put out right before they went to rehab was also garbage.
Yeah, huh?
And it's so weird. And I'm never gonna after Pump. I didn't ever. I was too busy learning other stuff when they went into like the Alicia Silverstone, all the soundtrack. Right. I was gone by then.
Yeah,
but I did appreciate Permanent Vacation and Pump, and I never want to say it gets the same props as their old shit.
They had a lot of good songs on those. Both those records had really good arrangements.
They did, and great production.
Hits. They were hits.
Yeah,
with videos to accompany them.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, like, would Zeppelin have a video? They would have done it, man. Oh my God! It's like, no, please don't go that route. Don't have Zeppelin and MTV have a relationship. We don't want that. So maybe it was good, but I don't know. It was kind of like, Rush went through that same thing where if you came out of the 70s, you had to go through the 80s, and you kind of had to do what everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
You had to have a really cheesy video, and you just had to kind of play along with everything.
Do you know who, to me, and a very, very base level knowledge here, so don't take anything I say as gospel, but so far, and this isn't like a project that I've studied or anything, but the anomaly for people that were musicians in the 70s and 80s is Robert Palmer. Have you ever listened to his shit from the 70s?
My sister had a few of his records, but I don't remember listening to anything that early from him. Yeah.
I literally, until somebody told me, thought that like Simply Irresistible and what was this other hit?
The one with all the girls dancing in the background.
But you're not home. You're mine. That's so somebody was like, dude, you should check out some, and I was like, wait, what? And I just picked one record, and I was like, I almost had to pull over. I was like, this slaps so.
Man,
and then I kind of listened to another record, and I was like, this is also really good. But then I got distracted and went another. So I know there's still a lot of Robert, but I had no idea. And so, he kind of like the 80s for him kind of blew him. He's like, hey, but it fit.
Yeah.
Then,
he sold a lot of records because of that video.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But the real music.
But I've been around for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I always think that's going to happen to me. Someone's going to discover like an old Tiki Brawlers single, and like, dude, we've had that for 10 years.
Right.
I'm too old,
So, Casey Green has a Facebook and Instagram. It has a YouTube.
Yeah.
Tiki Brawlers. 2 albums. They're both on YouTube.
They're both on YouTube. Just search for Tiki. There's another. That was a good thing about that name. When I registered it, there was nothing even close to it. So when you type in Tiki, usually Brawlers comes up automatically.
Nice.
So that's.
Are you familiar with Bandcamp?
I am a little.
So this again, absolute baseline.
I don't have anything up there.
Well, so it's popular because they give allegedly more royalties to the artist than in any other platform.
I think the first record we did CD Baby, and they just help you link it out to all these, but they take a percentage.
Sure, but I think Bandcamp takes the smallest.
I've heard that. Yeah,
and then they have Friday Bandcamp, where any sales of yours on those particular Fridays, you get all of it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
I mean, it's
cool.
new to me, but it's been around, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but
awesome.
Well, we're almost 3 hours deep.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to say.
So I got dogs to feed, and you probably have people that want to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
Dude, thank you so much for coming and doing this. And I'll send you some stuff.
Okay.
And please, if there Casey Green merch comes to fruition,
you need the snail shirt.
I want to give Casey Green some money and get a T-shirt in exchange.
There's probably like 3 hours of music that they're going to send me that I have to listen to. So it's good that I don't have a lot of stuff going on right now, because I'll definitely get into all these notes that you've written. And new music, I just need to hear it once and I'll be hooked.
I think you're really going to dig Kurt Weill. And the War on Drugs and Jenny Lewis. I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't. But it's cool. To me, like, I've always, the mindset, without even knowing it really, is like, I want just a source of new music that I like, that I don't have to work at all to find. Just sort of funnel it in like the lightning bolt into the DeLorean. And back to the and now I have it and I'm happy. And
I've got a couple friends like you that are always looking and hearing new music. They're actively, seeking it out, and I'm not actively doing that, but I'm passively, waiting for one of those people like who's like, "Hey, Buckner, check this guy out,"
right?
Because they know what I like.
Well, actively or passively, as long as you're open to
that's right,
giving it a little bit of a whirl. I mean,
and keep supporting live music out there, people, and no matter who you listen to. So just musicians need your love right now, and that $5 cover or whatever. But music heals all.
Indeed it does. On that note, thank you, sir.
Thank you.